This works. Cool. I'm just gonna let people trip in. If you're in the chat, if you can let me know if my sound is good. Oh, cool. Okay. What's up? I want to make sure that we got good sound here. I'm hoping we do. We might have to restart it. So, Chargers win. Yeah. See, that was one. I went into all the games, and I there's probably like 3 or 4 games, that being one of them, that I thought it made sense for the Chiefs to lose for a few symbolic reasons, but I there was really no playoff ramifications. Exactly, Nick. If the Bills, I'm hoping you guys can hear me. If the Bills play, I'm echoing. Okay, I'll do my best too. That could just be this. It's not the best mic. I also have a window open, so I'll work on some of that. But as long as you can hear me crystal clear, okay, I'll take that. But if I'm echoing, it could just be if I'm moving or something. I'll try and work on it. Anyway, so this is the reason I love the Rams today. If you watch my last video, I said if the Vikings lose, put the farm on the Rams, and it was simply because I just did not think a Packers Lions playoff match looked appealing at all, and it would have been Rams Eagles, another dud. And what Nick is saying about the AFC, if the Bills lose, now we get the Bills Dolphins again in a week, which just makes no sense to me. Whereas if the Bills win, we got Bills versus Pittsburgh, and it'll be the the Dolphins would match up with the Chiefs. It's just a much better draw. So thanks, way up. Honestly, it's 100% WWE style booking. I literally look at it like WWE. You know how if it's like there's a bad guy on the rise, well, okay, he's not going to fight Roman Reigns. They're both bad guys. You see it in the AFC and NFC all the time, and I think Rams was a perfect example. Now, just watch how many times they tell us about golf when he was on what price of bread was when golf was on the Lions and or on the Rams and then Stafford was on the Lions. They're going to go into all of it. Same thing with Flacco versus CJ. It's the reason we look. So we nailed. I'm not to be braggadocious, but we did nail our predictions. We had Tennessee winning for the express purpose of Pittsburgh Buffalo, which is now the DeMar connection. We had Houston winning because Houston and Cleveland made sense because oldest versus youngest quarterback. What's up, Dream? And way up and Andrew and every. I want to make sure I address everyone. Bold. What's up, Shane? It's good to see you in here, and Dave. But yeah, so oldest versus youngest quarterback. So they're going to show us again when CJ was a sperm, how Joe Flacco was 24 years old. All these different, side by sides. You can already see it on ESPN's page. I can at least. And then most importantly, again, the Stafford versus Goff, just very interesting. Then we got Hill versus Mahomes. So we got nothing but draws. Even like the dud matchups are actually pretty engaging. So yeah, I think that's why this was going to be a good weekend. Yeah, Bills. So the cover's tough. Like I personally, I take covers because money lines just juice you. I think it's going to be relatively close. But yeah, I would take the Bills to cover. If you could somehow get 2.5, take it. And what I'm going to say is, I feel bad. Anyone that's watching this from Patreon, from Buy Me a Coffee, thank you very much for all the support. For one, I know Shane and Dave, a lot of other people, but I said in the video, and it was on YouTube too, that for the for the Bills game, it was going to be a leg 1-for-1 unit. Now I'm convinced I would put it as a leg 3-for-4 units. They're definitely winning, and I think they'll cover. I do. I think they're going to look strong going into the playoffs, and you have again. I don't see them giving us Bills Dolphins again when they can give us Chiefs versus the Dolphins and the Bills versus the Steelers. Two much better matchups in my opinion. So it just doesn't seem like a good playoff. I guess they could push something like, "Oh, we're going to see this again in 2 weeks after having a banger of a game," but I just don't think so. I think it's going to be effectively what we had in the projections. Thanks, Vegas, dude. And yeah, we So these are things I can't make up. Okay. Um, oh yeah. So Patreon, Patreon. The difference on Patreon is because just because so many people don't care about women's bobsledding and all these other sports, I just look for the absolute best metric games, which is usually college basketball, whereas just where teams are abysmally bad against the spread. And every night I sift through them. Very tedious, but I don't mind doing it because I play them myself. So all those picks, it's that's not the main NFL games. A lot of NBA games. every night I put them, which I'll be doing a video after this for anyone that's watching. I'll have it out just later than usual. And the unit amounts, my system, which is 1 unit, 2 units, 4 units, it's pretty complex. But yeah, it's NS National Sports Entertainment after patreon.com/ is the link. I could post that in here. I don't want to plug it. But I was just saying to the people that are on there, I feel bad because I did say on that video and in my YouTube video it was going to be 1 unit, but I have changed my mind. To me, that's worth 4 units now. Today we did well. We got the over on Atlanta, which was our only 4 unit play, and then of course we got the Rams at 4 units. If you don't know, my system's leg one, leg two, leg three, 1 unit, 2 unit, 4 units. So I do it that way for a reason. So the Rams actually paid better at as a double up than we would have got for the Vikings number. So it's actually better. It fell that way. And again, sometimes it goes the other way, but it was a contingency game. Yeah, it works way up because again, it's like if we know this team's gonna win, then this team has to win. Not always, but to make things make sense, then I just feel like it's a really good way to pick games. So we got three cracks at it basically. If we lose the leg three for 4 units, which we're so far doing well on, we got the Rams, we got the Titans, not Titans, we got the Rams, we got the Atlanta over, and we got the Texans yesterday. So we're 3 for 3 on leg threes, and usually we're gonna get it with three shocks. What's up, Phoenix? Cricket. I'm doing well. I'm glad my equipment's finally working. I got some really archaic stuff here, as you can see, by my well pixelated face and just the background. The quality of my computer is pretty old. I don't even know. This thing has to have been made in the late '90s or something. But I really don't care as long as people can hear me and it works. I don't even as you guys know I don't add my stuff. I just like to just as long as things work. I'm very old school that way. I'm an old head. Oh yeah, so yeah, way up. Like, I don't want to rant about this, but I had people, and then we could talk about the Bills or whoever you guys want to talk about. Uh, with the Discord, I had to basically like turn it into the Fourth Reich because essentially we had two or three different channels that were actively telling people from their channel, "Hey, go and join the Discord and just run amok," essentially. And you'll the nicest people in my Discord, they'll be so nice to me, and they're nothing more than shills from other channels. Sometimes people from other channels have, either come under their own name or they create other names, try joining this Discord. So I had to really be strict as far as letting people in because, again, like the people that seem like the nicest people asked to come and get in the Discord, and you find out that they're not. They're either just trying to steal information, like do anything they can just to spy. We have so many channels that spy on other channels, watch their stuff. I know there's channels watching this live stream. I know it because after every live stream we've ever done, I've gotten rants from these other people. Jake the nut job, Pat the pedophile, and again, I don't want to go too much into these guys, but it's a spoiler. You're gonna see like a bunch of comments from random people that it's these guys. They make other accounts and they just have no time on their hands, like to just be stalking my channel. So yeah, it's why I changed the Discord and made it where it's a little tougher to get in. But anyone that wants to join in, obviously, like I want anyone in the Discord. I want it to be a big think tank. Oh yeah, so yeah, if you got booted, like there's a lot of people that were just kind of booted because I had to change security to match up with emails and such because I had to again be really strict. But I'll leave a link if you want to get in. I just ask people to let me know who they are in the YouTube because so many people will join the Discord and they'll never say a word. And to me, that's already a little fishy. They'll join, never say a word. And there's some people that just don't like going on Discord, but others will do that. But then the second I kick them, they're like, "Why'd you kick me from the Discord?" So then I kind of know why they joined. But I'll leave a link for you way up or anyone else that wants to get in the Discord. A lot of smart people in there. That's why I like, keeping it organic instead of allowing hundreds of people that I don't know who they are. Or I think, okay, these people joined at a suspicious time, whatever the case may be. But almost everybody in there, from what I can tell, is authentic. And we have a lot of people just that bring a lot of historical facts and good live action. Hutch, if you're watching Double P, they always have like just the best some of the best live analysis. Steven does as well. Oh yeah, what's up, Andrew? I'm crypto. So I would say give it, and no problem, way up. And yeah, Ed, it's really a shame. Like I can't even put into words. It's so bad. Just so you go, like it goes so deep with these other channels. When I don't know if this happens for you guys. When I type my name in National Sports Center, the first thing that pops up is not a picture of me or a picture of my pics. It's a picture of the poster of "Don't do drugs." It's Jakey, Jakey the asshole, because he made all these videos about us, and we're I'm not gonna lie, our my thumbnails don't get shown, things like that. We're not pushed to like these other crony channels, but it's pretty bad. You know, this adult Drake Bell looking guy in his 50s is just making videos, quote, exposing us because he was another channel that just took our ideas and then got very mad when I posted a screenshot showing that he indeed watched the channel and was thanking me for, quote, opening his eyes to the metrics. And that's just one of the channels, but they watch us and then on top of it, they get pushed. And I was like, I typed my name in just to see how YouTube's helping us out. You know, you go incognito and the picture of this guy, this schmuck comes up. So I'm like, I don't get it, you know, but we're doing really good if you haven't couldn't tell, which is why I know these channels are going to be doing the same tactics. Because yeah, it's ridiculous, Shane. I don't get it, but it is what it is. We're doing really well despite everything. This is the best we've probably been doing since the channel's been up. So I appreciate you guys and thank you all for that. It's only going to get stronger. So many more people are now. A channel I do like is OG Lightskins. They put shorts out and they're freaking hilarious. And they're basically telling people it's scripted. They're like a more genuine version of RDC World. RDC knows what's up, but they play dumb. OG Lightskins actually like is telling people that NFL is scripted. So you have real channels. Yeah, check them out. They do shorts, and they're pretty darn funny. They show people missing assignments, and it's just wholesome fun. In this sector, I've noticed, not to just generalize. It's been a cesspool of narcissistic egomaniacs that I've dealt with, and like that's one of the very few channels I see that is exploded, and I feel like they're also pretty cool. So that's definitely something I like. Yeah, I'm not sure, Dave. It's not the best headset. I'm not sure if it's that or my connection. Hopefully, it doesn't, you know, continue on your end. I can again try adjusting this. Yeah, my okay. So neither of ours come up. Yeah, I don't know, Shane. Like, I just know there's no like, we were for a while, and then my thumbnails they just started showing the grainy screen recorder instead of the actual thumbnail I choose. And as far as crypto, I would get in now. Like the worst that's going to happen is it's going to dip a couple more times and go up. There's no way crypto. If you didn't know this, there hasn't been a 2.5 year period that you have crypto that you haven't profited. So as long as you've held crypto since it's been around for 10 years now, for any 2.5 year window, you've profited. It's all about patience. It's the new currency. They've you've had Bitcoin basically flip every major company. I wouldn't get Bitcoin. I would get altcoins like Polygon, Chainlink. Ethereum's fine. They can move. Ripple is a misleading one because it's got a high market cap. So people look at it, it's like 80 cents. Oh, okay, I can 100x. You're not going to, but Chainlink, yeah, that's an Oracle coin. So they're necessary for transactions. Solana's got a pretty high market cap, but if you look at its all-time high, definitely worth having in your portfolio, I think. By the way, I'm not a financial guru, but I did outperform a lot of the financial gurus by simply investing in the stock market when COVID happened. I knew that these companies were going bankrupt, so that was pretty easy. And then I parlayed that into crypto, which right now is not doing great. But Solana is not in my top five, but probably my top 10. The problem I don't like with Ripple, Shane, is they basically signed deals with MoneyGram and all these other entities, and then you have this SEC filing, which seems very forced. I almost wonder if they're like a controlled opposition coin, and they're going to wind up being the centralized coin that they want. Stafford beats Lions. So that's what's interesting. Rams, Lions. No, I think the Lions are definitely going to advance, but we got what we thought we'd get. We got Stafford versus Goff. Rams won the Super Bowl. I think it only makes sense that they put over the Lions. It's more entertaining if they advance too. Bucks, yes, I think they can, especially because they're pushing the Hurts injury. But I have a theory of my own that we're going to get the Niners and Eagles again. But this time the Eagles are going to have the injured quarterback, so it'd be kind of fitting. And everyone thinks it's going to be Niners Cowboys, or at least a lot of people. I think Niners Eagles makes sense. Yeah, honestly, I might just make like a side crypto channel, Andrew, because I could talk about crypto all day. Especially because again, it's the reason I do the system I do. It's all about people making money. There's no way, in my opinion, in 5 10 years, if you hold crypto, you're going to lose out. The Bills game, it's always tough for me to call Bills overs. I'm staying away from the over under. If I had to pick one, I'd probably take the over because you have Tua and Josh. You know, we didn't get to see Lamar or Patrick, so I think they want to have some quarterbacks looking like CJ, kind of like really good going into the playoffs. So I would take the over. But my play is really the Bills, especially after the Jags lost. Now the Bills, they're not going to match them up with the Dolphins 2 weeks in a row. I don't think it just makes no sense to me. So I think we're going to get the Bills and Steelers, the Mark connection, and we're going to also have again the oldest versus youngest quarterback, Flacco versus CJ, Dolphins, Chiefs, Hill versus Mahomes. It all writes itself. Yeah, CJ's looking. They love CJ. That's all I can say is they love CJ. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no problem, Andrew. I mean, I didn't do anything crazy. I just basically split between the Vikings and to go over our day. We had a really good day. I think we finished. I think we're up like 13 or 14 units for the NFL week. We came in today +7 because of we got the 4 unit play for the Texans, 3 unit play or 2 unit play for the under on the Steelers game, and a unit play for the Steelers cover. Missed the Panthers today, got the Bengals, so that's a wash. Missed the Vikings leg 2, but then of course we did a leg 3 on that for the Rams, so we got that back and more. Missed the Jets Falcons leg 1, but we got our Falcons over leg 4. We got our Rams or we got our Giants win. That's a 2-1. Got our Raiders win. Got our Raiders over. Got Titans, and then we got Packers. Missed Cardinals. We did pretty good, is what I'm saying. Not to be braggadocious, but to the people that are tailing, I think we had a double-digit unit profit on the week, and if the Bills win today, I think we had a double-digit unit profit on the day. And thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. I just honestly like for me, it's just I use WWE logic, and I just try not to act like I know everything. So like, there's times I'm way off. Like, let me go into a story. I told people that the Detroit Lions were going to make a run and finish with 11 or so wins. I said about 11 wins is my exact pick. Beginning of this is preseason, right? So like the genius call. I also told people the Pistons were going to surprise people. So just a complete doofus call. Now I guess you could argue they are surprising people, but obviously I did not mean in that way. I thought they were going to be good this year. So I miss really badly sometimes. But since I feel like we're over the target enough, especially using my system, I think it really works. And the list, my thoughts is they're going to try and downplay the list, and they're going to try and like finally like it's funny how they move the goalpost. If you can't tell by my shirt, what can I say? There are certain people I don't hate, and I don't think Trump should be on people's top of people's list just because of what we're seeing with this list. If you guys don't know, just to tell a quick story, he did. It's documented. He went. Trump himself went to the prosecutor in Florida to report Epstein. This prosecutor came out and said they reached out to dozens of celebrities, hundreds. Not one of them would give any information. Trump was the only guy. Without Trump, Epstein would not have been nabbed. So, and the media hates the guy. So if he was on the damn island, you know they'd be running with that. My point is, people are so mad about this guy's taxes. They don't care about the list, which was a sex cult. It's just, however you stand on the political aisle, that's kind of how I look. Is like people should care about this list. It was like when Sound of Freedom came out, they wanted to silence it. So, in my opinion, I think we're gonna see a lot of names on the list, and they're gonna laugh it off, downplay it. Oh yeah, I was there, but this and that. It was just on business. And they're gonna act like, oh well, we knew Clinton was there, even though they were trying to deny it. We knew Prince Andrew was there, even though they were trying to act like these guys are small players. And again, Trump's the worst guy ever. And again, regardless of your opinion on the guy, it's just if you compare taxes or whatever you think he's guilty of, even if you want to say January 6th, all that. So we can get into that another time. But it's not comparable to, raping kids, children, all these different things that happened on that island. So I don't think it's going to be any bombshell, but I think people are going to wake up and start seeing that there's a double standard. Um, not a, yeah. So we had a lot of dogs this week. Are you talking about the playoffs? There's not going to be. I think we're going to have like one upset in the playoffs. I could see the Bills losing, honestly. Although they're playing Pittsburgh, so there's if they win, they're playing Pittsburgh. So I guess that wouldn't happen. Houston would probably be considered an upset, but I don't know. From the NFC side, I guess I could see. I don't see the Rams beating the Lions. I could actually see, as somebody pointed out, the Eagles getting bumped. But like I said, I just feel like they might be teasing this Hurts injury, and we're going to see Niners Eagles again. What's up, Golden Eagle? It's good to see you. I always see you in the chat on YouTube and or maybe Discord. I try and remember the names, but either way, I appreciate you coming by and all the insight that you always offer. But yeah, as far as the uh, the playoff draws, 49ers Dallas. Yeah, I mean, from the beginning of the year, so that's one of the calls we got right. Beginning of the year, Niners were my pick, simply because I feel like these guys have been knocking on the door. Guys like Debo, Fred Warner, they're due their, Kittle, they're due that ring, and I don't think they're going to go out without one. So it makes sense. And at the beginning of the year, I was thinking about the possibility. I decided it wasn't worth it, so we wound up going Ravens Niners beginning of the year, with the Raiders actually being my other choice. If it wasn't the Ravens, I had a feeling on the Raiders. But for the NFC, it was Niners all the way. They have the last player in the draft, Mister Irrelevant, and he can match up with several first overall picks. Maybe not several. Let's see. Stafford was a first overall pick if he matches up with him. I'm not sure about Goff. Um, but I'm pretty sure he can match up with the first overall pick in the NFC Championship, or at least in the NFC. And he can. I thought he might match up with like a first overall pick in the AFC, but that really only left like Trevor Lawrence. So then I was thinking, well, you have to put him up against like the opposite of him, which would be like Lamar Jackson. If you have two guys on paper and you can choose Lamar or Brock, it's just pretty laughable. Like only in a scripted league would Brock be able to do what he's doing. So Lamar versus Brock makes sense to me. So I do like that. But Patrick Mahomes versus quote the world makes sense too. Yeah, Vist. I don't know. Viet. Sorry, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. If it was, are you asking which like? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, they won on the ceremony. Are you saying that like, that you believe it was scripted, or are you saying do you think they're gonna have okay for like playoff ramifications? If you could just elaborate a little bit. I'm guessing you're saying it's gonna be one of those scripts for the playoffs, like who's gonna go further. So off the easy, I had a very strong feeling that whoever won the in-season tournament was not going to advance. So not advance, but I didn't think they were going to win the championship as well. The fact that it was LeBron does open up that possibility, but I just don't see it happening. And I think it was stupid. It's like the Intercontinental Championship. I said it a million times. Like, why are you having this ultra competitive competition in the middle of what's supposed to be your competitive season for $500,000? I'm sure LeBron needed that 500,000, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But it's definitely a script. Oh, they're having a hangover since winning, and it'll probably carry on. The Celtics are the team I like to win this year, just because I feel like they sent over there the Drew Holiday is a big and Porzingis are two big championship type players, whereas everyone's going to be on Milwaukee in my opinion. And yeah, Viet, I agree. I think for the playoffs, it could be either one. I like the Niners just because they have Mister Irrelevant. They have so many things they can do with that. And again, I think they've been knocking on the door for a while. Yeah, Lakers might make a trade. Obviously, it won't be AD at this point. I'm not sure who they would trade. It would be interesting, but they could certainly do that. I think they might just fizzle out. Maybe try a way to get Braun. ESPN already put out a poll saying would Bronny help the Lakers right now? The dude got like 10 points in his last game, so that's kind of ridiculous. All favorites, Nick, in the playoffs. I think one underdog might win. The NFC South game is definitely they're losing. The Bucks are losing, and I guess the Rams aren't beating the Lions. I guess the night yeah, it's going to be tough. But I technically Browns Texans it's going to be close, but I guess an underdog can win that game. I've seen him. It tells me on my channel that people come from Tony telling it like it is. Haven't seen him, so he's one of the few I can grant the exception to that I cannot confirm that he's a nut job. These other people outside of again the ones I mentioned, OG Lightskins is cool. Scripted sports media seems cool. I like OG Lightskins just to laugh. They got some cool shorts, but yeah, I've never seen Tony, but so from what I know, he's cool because he hasn't blindly attacked us. Bills, yeah, the Bills are definitely winning Draymond because I went into this earlier. Are we going to get the Bills Dolphins again in 2 weeks, a week, which is what's going to happen if the Dolphins win? Whereas if the Bills win and they've already clinched the spot, now they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, where and Demar's going to get comeback player of the year. You best know they're going to do some kind of celebration, even though he hasn't played. It obviously should go to Flacco, but it was the biggest story that they lied about. So of course they're going to have Demar win it. Yeah, Dolphins. I hear people saying that. I'm curious what's going to happen with the Dolphins. They got creamed by the Ravens, right? And I think they did, right? Yeah, they lost by like 40 points because we had the Ravens covering the three. So that could be like the Eagles. They could be swerving us. I don't think they're going all the way. that as far as who goes to the championship, it seems obvious, but I think Chiefs Ravens makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean they did tease that. Somebody tweeted this out. I'm not kidding, Russian bot. Somebody tweeted this out like a month ago, and they said, "Oh my gosh, just the thought of Flacco playing my Ravens is giving me nightmares." And ESPN put out a post and said, "Oh, could you imagine?" And then like 18 hours later, they put up the same post. Oh, could you imagine? I guess they were hoping, they thought that their target market had the attention span of gnats, and they had to remind us. But since they put it up there twice, I do think it makes more sense to get, even though they played twice already. I don't believe Flacco has played the Ravens, so I think it makes more sense for the Browns to win that game. I agree. Steelers, yeah, that's why the Falcons I abandoned ship at the very end. Robinson wasn't going to be enough of a draw, and it wound up being Baker. The Steelers, yeah, they got Watt, and now he's hurt. I think they might have him Superman himself and play through the injury, but they're not going to win. Yeah, Hill might go nuts tonight. I think they want to force the narrative that Patrick Mahomes did need Hill more than he thought, and because we're just seeing it unfold, like very very blatantly. And I don't think the Dolphins are again going to they could probably go to the championship, but I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. But I think that there's a very good chance they could upset the Chiefs in week two. Or I'm sorry, they play in week one, don't they? Yeah, Flocka. I'm seeing all these different. Yeah, he was on the couch for like 15 years. It seems like. I don't know how old he is, but I think they said he's 40 and CJ's 21. So that would be interesting. Yeah, Bills Ravens makes sense, especially because I don't think we've seen that matchup too many times. So we could definitely see that. And I actually had the Jags getting eliminated. I thought the Titans winning made much more sense just because in my playoff scenario, I had certain teams winning, and that had to be the Texans, the Browns, the Titans, and the Bills. So we're 3 out of 3 there so far. I think the Bills finish it off and give us the exact playoff matchup that seemed like it was just too scripted for me not to go with. Yeah, Allen throws interceptions. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw one. And yeah, Johnny K, guys, if you see him putting hockey stuff in the YouTube, follow him because he calls props all the time. He's got such historical knowledge. I admittedly did bad with hockey, but he knows his hockey, and he definitely put some very interesting things in the chat. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the Jags did, but it's like Trevor Lawrence. They want to push the guy, but then they decide like not to. And it's interesting because I never thought the guy was that engaging. I didn't think he looked that good compared to some of these other quarterbacks. I thought he was like a Justin Herbert. So maybe they're finally seeing that. They are relocating to London, so maybe they're going to do like a hard rebuild. I'm not sure. So you think Dolphins? No, I think Q Rose. I think it's going to be the Bills because otherwise Dolphins play the Bills in a week, and to me, Bills, Pittsburgh, Dolphins, Chiefs makes much more sense. Yeah, CJ is very collected. They showed his pregame routine. He's like shooting basketballs. He's like boxing. Guys like playing jacks. He's like doing everything at the same time. They like the guy, and he does seem to have a very matured mentality to him. So I like CJ. 38, 39. Yeah. So he was an adult, I think, when CJ was born. They're gonna push all that different stuff. Just wait for it. Rams, Lions, and Browns. Uh, Browns. Who is it? Texans is going to be ridiculous. Just wait for it. Yeah, I like the Titans too. Russian bot. I was kind of back and forth on it, and then I realized, yeah, if the Jags lost, it made it more, or the Jags won, it made it more interesting for Buffalo. But I thought the Titans win made much more sense because it was the only way we could have got Flacco versus CJ. Yeah, that's why they're going to London. I mean, their owner owns AEW, and they do really good in Wembley when they go there. When they go to Wembley, they sold out like 80,000 people. That was mostly on the back of CM Punk, but even still, I think they would be a bigger draw in London than they are in Jacksonville. No problem, Justin. Sorry for the people that I keep repeating it for, but Justin, I like the Bills to cover, and I just went over why. I'll say it again though. Just basically, if they next week, I don't think they're going to match them up against the Dolphins again. To me, what makes much more sense is Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, uh, Pittsburgh with the Demar connection. Yeah, they're going to say he was hurt again. I guess I didn't. They well, they did it earlier this year. They said he was hurt, and then he just no sold it. He ran for like 70 yards on a supposedly sprained knee. So you never know, but that seems to be what they're doing. Uh, 2 years in a row now, and I brought this up, and then ESPN brought it up too afterwards. I'm not saying they copied me, but I think it means we know where they're heading with it. 2 years in a row, we've only had like five quarterbacks that have played for the whole season. Like the rest of the quarterbacks have either been benched or injured. Yeah, Allen, I think he's more like Manning, but he plays more like Favre. I get what you're saying, but I think they want to establish like a Manning Brady deal, and that's Josh Allen versus Mahomes. But again, you can compare him to like Ben, a lot of different guys, but I think he's more just there to feud with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, if yeah, well, I think that was like an act, him getting going all emotional over the referee, just to show that this team is melting down. Again, it could be to plant seeds of doubt and have him make the run. Either way, I don't think he's winning. Even if he gets to the Super Bowl, which I still like Niners Ravens, but I think the Niners would beat the Chiefs just because it's a redemption game, and they've been trying to prove they did it with the Nuggets that even though they got Jokic and he's a monster, you need like a well-oiled machine versus just a superstar, which is all the Chiefs have right now. Yeah, the Madden curse, he could lose, but I think a few guys have defied that curse, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Lawrence, I think that's why he was like such a high draft pick. Yeah, I don't think the Jags are going to be out for long. I think they're going to again. They'll probably. I think they're going to London sooner than people think, and that's when we're going to see them really ball out. In London, they're like their record's crazy. They're even joking about how they have a better record internationally than they do in the United States. Yeah, Oscar, I think so. Like, it's funny you bring that up because I like to do a lot of games I approach, whether it's real or fake. That way, you kind of have both sides covered. And to me, this one is one that makes perfect sense, real or fake. It makes sense to me that the Bills win. The cover, you never know, but I think they'll get the cover. No problem, Justin. I like them as well, so hopefully we get that. 150 for Diggs. So I thought that. So I'm so annoyed. Whatever prop I do, the opposite happens. Puka today was plus 275 or something. So I'm like, okay, he's definitely not scoring a touchdown. And sure enough, he scores their first touchdown. So I missed out on that. I might just start posting props so you guys can do the opposite because I'm not kidding. If I pick something, it never hits. And if I don't pick it, it hits. And it's not like bad beat syndrome where I'm only remembering the bad. With props, I'm convinced that the prop gods just want to humble me or something because I cannot pick a prop to save my life and it's just ridiculous. I don't even come close, which I guess you can come. That's better than like missing it by a yard, but it's crazy how much I missed them by. Yeah, Mason. So the reason I liked Rudolph was because he debuted on Christmas again, and I just thought that was interesting. And sure enough, Rudolph won on Christmas. And the Steelers I like just because the first round, I think Demar is going to be a story. Yeah, Oscar, I swear the prop gods are out to get us. Yeah, the point. Yeah, they're always good bets. Sometimes Jokic will shave himself on the points. I noticed, and they'll go under, but typically they hit. But yeah, I just feel like for me personally, I do so bad with props. Although I would have done great if I actually locked in the ones I was looking at, but I thought they were too obvious. I had Nico scoring a touchdown, and I had Harris scoring a touchdown yesterday. Both of them, their teams winning, and it seems too easy to be true. I had Stroud throwing two touchdowns. That was almost even odds. But of course, I didn't lock any of them in, so of course that's going to happen. Alquin Barris. I actually don't know what that is, but if you could let me. Oh, Wake and Barris. Is that a channel or I'm very out of the loop as far as a lot of lingo, so I'm not sure. Cook and Davis touchdowns. Yeah, Gabe Davis. He seems to. I'm wondering if it'll be him or Diggs. It's like they never do both of them. A lot of times, one of the guys will score twice, but I usually don't see like each of them score in the same game, where one will get a ton of yards, but the other will get like a touchdown. Lakers Clippers, I really don't. I don't love the game. There are some games I like the Suns. If they're big threes in, I think they're going to win because they keep pushing that narrative. And then the guy that controls sports games. Then yeah, that is my arch enemy because I swear whoever's running this show with the props that I pick, it just always seems to be the opposite. But yeah, Lakers Clippers don't really have a play. I liked the Hawks, but I think they played already just because it looked like a trap. There wasn't a bunch of NBA games I liked, to be honest. Bills, Browns, Cowboys. So I don't see why not. Then we get We might if it matches up the Browns and the Ravens. We have to see that because if it doesn't, and the Browns would have to go to the AFC Championship, sure they could. But I really like the Browns mostly if they're going to match up against the Ravens. Cowboys, I don't see why they would lose. Bills, I feel like yeah, the Steelers are definitely going to be out. I think there's no way they win. And the Eagles, yeah, I think they're safe to be honest. I think they really want to set up a good divisional and championship round. As far as Michigan, yeah, Eagles, I think they've just been selling the last couple weeks to be honest. As far as Michigan, I think it's interesting because they're kind of being pushed as the big bad bullies, the cheating bullies. Their coach cheated, and Washington's just like quote disrespected team coming out of the Pac-12, and they're not. What is it? Minus 180 plus 200, something like that. I actually think Washington makes more sense to win. Now, a lot of people were saying Michigan's going to win because then it matches in with the San Francisco versus Baltimore, which I could see. But even them getting there still matches up, in my opinion. I mean, they got to the championship. So I think Washington's the play. I'll take the plus odds. And I think more people will be on Michigan, but I could be wrong. Well, it's funny. So, no, I'm not going to. I don't. If you know me off the Heezy, you know that if anything, I shamelessly double down on my predictions. At the least, I admit, okay, I had this wrong, but I'm going to reassess. I'm not going to jump on the Cowboys. Just, I mean, if the Niners get eliminated, then of course I'll have to go to a backup. But and for the playoffs at the beginning of the year, my pick was Lakers Celtics, and the only thing I said was when the in-season tournament came around, I said if whoever wins this, I don't think they're going to win the championship. So I've actually liked the Lakers this year. At the beginning, all the year, I thought they made sense to match up against the Celtics, but I'm much more open to the Celtics than I am the Lakers. I just don't think they're going to give them both. They could, I guess, but it'll be interesting. But yeah, the Celtics have been my pick to win the thing since the beginning. But yeah, no, I don't know the regular season records. I know like one thing I noticed that happens a lot is like when the Lakers and Clippers play on the same night, almost always one of them will win and the other one will lose. So if the Lakers win, I almost always will take the Clippers to lose or the Clippers to lose in the next game and vice versa. Like I would argue to say if they played say they played 20 on the same night 20 nights this year, I'd argue to say 16 of them they split. It's pretty insane. I think LeBron getting there. Well, I think at the very least he's going to get a matchup against Mike Malone again. So they have that little beef going with the Nuggets, and yeah, I think he's. I mean, I can't see the Lakers not making a run. They're just a draw. They missed out, and the fact that they went so deep last year, I guess they could just tank or something. I don't see it happening though. I think the Lakers are definitely going to make a run. If you watch my NBA playoff simulation, I have them in the Western Conference Championship. Yeah, Neil. Seeing that, and I don't have to even look into it. I think that's an automatic fade. Raptors seem like the obvious pick there. I don't understand. Again, I get that they're not the same Warriors team, but the Raptors have been terrible. Actually, we did call. We had the Pistons a couple times, but we didn't chase them too much. But when they played the Raptors and they were only getting like 3 4 points, we were able to cash in on that. Fun fact: the Pistons still have not beat a team in America or a team from America, I should say. So that's pretty interesting. Hmm. We have another fun fact. The Nuggets. Yeah, so I thought about that. That was the reason I liked. As far as it's a different reason, but Nuggets and Golden Knights is the reason I like the Niners. It seemed like they were going with a gold theme, and just throwing this out there, it's not my pick, but it's definitely a reserve. Bills versus Niners gives us bill versus gold. It's a dollar bill versus gold. I find that very interesting. So I in my official video, I only had one unit for the Bills, but I said in that video, should it come down to I actually said this probably verbatim, should it come down to a Bills loss, meaning they will play the Dolphins again next week, I like the Bills exponentially more. So with that new information, I didn't know exactly how many units to recommend because I didn't know what was going to happen. But knowing that if the Bills lose, they play the Dolphins again next week, it's worth leg three for 4 units, in my opinion, on the Bills to cover. Raptors going to trade. I think I predicted that at the beginning of the year, so I had some big basketball misses where I had the Wizards and Pistons doing pretty good. But then in the Western Conference, all of our picks are right now in the playoffs, except the Warriors. Right now, they're not in there. But yeah, the Bulls, Raptors, and Hawks are the 3 teams that I said were going to get knocked out of the play-in in favor of teams that are doing terrible. So I didn't do great in the East because I didn't think the Magic were going to be one of those teams. But my point is, you can tell when a team is just selling for the year, and I feel like the Bulls are there, the Raptors are there, and the Hawks they seem to be there. About the so my last official and only official NBA championship prediction was Lakers Celtics. So for now, I'm going to stick with that. Although I did say in that video, like I would be so quick to put the Mavericks in there instead of the Lakers. That was the only thing I said. So they're my backup in the West. I think Luca wins MVP this year. I said that a few times just because they love the international appeal. So Joker won it, Embiid won it. So I think it's going to be Luca that wins it this year. Suns in their 56th season. I'm not sure too much on the gematria aspect of it. Miami Heat equals 56. So whenever I try it, I find myself in this rabbit hole where I could like connect everything in the world. So I just try and stick with narratives. I do believe in gematria, but again, I feel like it can be used both ways, and so can narratives. But I just try and I try and use a calculation of trap lines, where the public's going to be, what the announcers are saying, what the team's looking like, the spread history and everything, and then I'll use gematria too if it's like I use symbolism. Like I said, Bills Niners is interesting because you got the Bills dollar bill versus the gold. So like you can find it almost in anything, but I try and be realistic with it. Yeah, I think gematria is real off the easy. I just think it's very double coded, so we could find so many different outcomes. But I do see some that are very obvious. What's up, Marco? It's good to see you in here, man. Marco's been gosh, since over a year ago. If you haven't seen my first video on this channel, without going into too much detail, I explain everything that happened and how we've been put through the ringer. But Marco's been with us since the beginning, and he's always providing really good insight to the point. If I say something and he disagrees, I in the past have made videos and changed my pick because he's opened my eyes to something that I didn't understand. I was like, oh man, I did not see that coming. So I always take what he says very seriously, and I appreciate all the support, Marco. Yeah, off the easy. I think that's a running joke. Didn't Jimmy Butler say that last year? He's like, "We're winning, we're winning, we're winning," and I had the Heat winning when I don't think anybody did. But and I thought it was weird. And when I got worried last year was against the Suns. He kept saying, "We're going to be the first of four," and he never said wins. So I'm like, okay, is he telling us he's going to be the first of 4 losses? Because it's just very weird that he said that. And I still, of course, stuck with the Heat because I'm like, well, that's still an off the cuff comment. But he kept saying it, and of course, he was saying we're going to win, and that they didn't win. So I think they're a big red herring. They might play spoiler, but I don't see them getting back there. Sia comes to the Warriors. That would be very interesting and fitting, especially with all the Draymond Green drama. Yeah, Braun. That's why I'm wondering what they're going to do. What's up, Steven? It's good to see you in here too. I'm glad you're able to make it. I'm imagining you did pretty good today. I know on like I think we were on different sides on Detroit, so good call on that. I thought the Vikings were going to win. Again, it was more because of the matchup, which is why I like the Rams even more. But he really liked the Lions, and he was right. So good call on that. I thought we might have got that last year for a minute, a Heat versus Lakers rematch. They were seeming to repeat a lot of the Bubble Bowl. We had the same exact Eastern and Western Conference final, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought they might have ran it back. But then I'm like, are they going to be that obvious about it? So I wasn't sure. No problem, Marco. Thank you, honestly. If I always say this, it's just me just talking to myself if you guys aren't engaging and just, giving me a chance and, you know, also offering insight, all that stuff, supporting. So I genuinely appreciate it, especially again, not to complain, but we've hardly had a obstacle free journey with our YouTube channel. It's been a lot of chaos and just unnecessary nonsense from bad actors, and YouTube itself isn't going to go out of their way to help us. But it's been vindicating because most people are seeing it scripted, and the love we get on this channel, this community, I think it's been amazing. The Discord and all that. All right, so Mark, I went into this a bunch of times, but you probably, I'm guessing we might be on the same wavelength. I love the Bills win because they match up with the Steelers and then the Chiefs match up with the Dolphins. Whereas if the Dolphins win, we're going to get the Bills and Dolphins again next week. And I just don't think the same reason I had the Rams winning, basically, that we would have got the Packers and Lions. I don't think, I mean, Bills Dolphins, I could see a haymaker game, and then they're like, oh, like a slobber knocker, and they're like, oh man, and we get them again next week. But I tend to think it'd be funny if they tied and they're like, oh, we'll have to finish it next week. But no, I think it's going to be Bills, just because I think it makes much more sense. I don't ever like to say lock, Frank, because then I feel like I'm misleading. But I've said lock and guaranteed before because I imagine people understand what I mean. But yes, I would. I loved the Rams. I loved the Texans for the same reason. It's WWE booking. So, oh, what's up, JD? I know you're a wrestling fan, but yeah, it's WWE booking. So that's the reason that I like these teams so much, and the Bills are one of them. It could be a no cover, it could be a 1 point ridiculous game, but I'll take the cover, especially if you can get three or less. Oh, good job, Steven. Yeah, I know you had Detroit, and yeah, Green Bay was a good call too. I like Green Bay myself. I was back and forth on it, but I ultimately, in my last video, I went into why I went with Green Bay. There, and you. That's another thing Steven pointed out. He's in the Discord. How Love is just getting all these Rodgers and Favre comparisons, and it's pretty ridiculous. Like he's getting a compare no matter what he does. Like it's like, oh man, he drinks water just like Brett Favre, or and he does play kind of like Favre, but it's just ridiculous. Yeah, Frank, that might be the way to go, and I'd say parlay it with something. But again, whenever I do that, I got yes on Saturday's games, I did a parlay on top of my picks, and it was over on the It was over on the Texans. That didn't hit, of course. Texans to win, which did hit. Browns to win, and the Browns under. So it got busted with the over. So parlays always bust me, but just doing the money line's fine. I think you're still getting pretty good odds. Vegas thinks Punk is winning the Royal Rumble. I think Punk makes sense because then he could challenge Seth, and they could find another way for Cody to challenge Roman. They could do the opposite too, but I think it's going to be Punk. It's only going to move greater in his favor. It could be LA Knight, but I just don't see that making sense. They just gave him a shot. And who's my favorite wrestler of all time? It's Steve Austin. For a lot, I mean, there's not a lot of people that I look up to, and I'm not saying this guy's an idol, but he had his career. He stepped aside. He only came back ever just to like help other wrestlers, or if it's going to benefit the fans. The dude, there are some reports, and I mean, I'm not going to act like everyone's perfect. So like, there are some reports of some things he did, like in his career with regarding like they were saying he might have fucking hit his wife, which again is never cool. But anyway, not to go too deep into that. Like outside of that one report, which was also it was refuted, denied, like it went both ways. So it's kind of he said, she said. I've never seen a blemish on this man's character outside of, and again, it's a big deal if he did do that, but there's like no blemish outside of that one report that was filed where she turned out to be really drunk, so it could have just been like a big fight. But there was nothing else. Like one guy called him racist, and everyone was like, "No, he's not racist." Uh, as far as in the ring, he broke his damn neck and finished a match, even if it was a sloppy finish. It's just crazy. And the reason he's the greatest of all time is easy. When The Rock, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels were not beating WCW, this man stepped up and just completely destroyed 10, 20 Hall of Famers, the NWO, DDP, Sting, by himself. It was the Austin versus McMahon story. McMahon deserves credit too for that. But I think Austin this year was number two in merchandise sales, behind Cody Rhodes. Like that's how popular he still is. There was no other legend on the list, so he's just crazy. Yeah, Phoenix. It's all right. Yeah, you got mad at me twice, man. One time you got mad at me and you said it was because you made some bad decisions and weren't in the right state of mind, and then you got mad at me again. But I just hope you're good, man. I don't like to offend anybody. I tried to do my best not to, but yeah, everything's good with me. I hope you're good, and I do appreciate the support because you have been supporting since the beginning. Yeah, the what? I mean, it's still people are still saying what to this day. Yeah, so again, as much as I point out that I think The Rock is a stooge. It's just my opinion. And you see, like Austin probably could have done everything The Rock did if he sold out enough. Just my opinion. So I feel like The Rock is definitely just one of the biggest phonies. And the dude only returns for himself. So he returned just recently and he buried a mid Carter. Like when Cena just returned, he like went out in an iron lung to help put some guy over. So anyway, Rock comes back, buries mid Carter, and now he's gonna put over his cousin. So then you look at Austin, guy breaks his neck, and he still does his best to put people over. His podcast is very just old fashioned. You could tell the guy's not bells and whistles. You kind of see what you get. There are two people in my life I really wanted to meet that I looked up to because Austin, just because I was a wrestling nerd, and the other one is George Carlin. If you ever heard of George Carlin, it's a shame that guy's not still with us. Yeah, so the Bills. Yeah, the regular season, I thought the Chiefs were going to be the team to miss, and then they were planting the seeds really early that the Bills might not make the playoffs, and it was so stupid because it was handled so hand-fistedly. They were literally a half game up on these other teams, and they're like, "Oh, the Bills, if they lose this game and this game and this game, and they're going to not make the playoffs," and they were just like pushing the narrative, and it didn't. It lasted literally 1 week because then the Bills started winning, and they were in the playoffs, and it came down to this week, where of course the Steelers kind of had a win to keep it interesting for long enough at least, and that was just one of the reasons I had the Steelers winning. I just find Phoenix. I mean, again, I don't remember like you saying anything too malicious. I just assumed you were mad at me for something, but yeah, it's cool, man. I'm just hoping you're doing good. Uh, Michigan, Washington. I like Michigan. I'm sorry, Washington because I think Michigan again, they're kind of like the heels. Like I feel like nobody wants them to win, which you could say more money is going to be on Washington, but I just don't think the odds make sense. Washington was like 10-point underdogs, maybe more against Oregon not that long ago, and now they're playing Michigan and they're like it's like minus 180. They have it pretty close. So I think they're telling us something there. So I think Washington is actually going to win that game, but I've missed a lot on college, so I definitely don't claim to know a lot about college. You took the under. Yeah, I'm staying away, but I could see either happening. I'm just getting Texans vibes where wherever I pick the opposite would happen. But yeah, I thought they might have Tua and Josh Allen both look really good going into the playoffs. But that could happen and the game still go under. His dad was yeah, I remember him saying he was what was a Canadian. I mean, he called it something weird. He's like, I'm not black, African American, I'm African Canadian. I think he said. So I think that's yeah. I think he's. I didn't know he had dual citizenship, but it makes sense. Or I don't if he changed it. I loved The Rock when he got into movies and people said he was gonna suck because I was a stupid kid. I'm like, yeah, right. The Rock's gonna be great. I mean, he was, and I was watching The Rundown, all those movies, and then very quickly, I started telling people that didn't like him as much as I did, this guy might be a sellout. He's rising pretty quick. And sure enough, like he showed his true colors the last couple of years, just saying whatever he's been like. He did phony endorsements. He did phony, sign. All those follow the science campaigns, and he's just been very politically motivated. So, oh, thanks, Triple Mike. Yeah, I like. So again, this is over taxes. And there's hundreds of celebrities that want this man on one side of a firing squad that are on the log for Epstein Island. We just need to get our priorities in order. Whatever we think about one person, we should still hold other people accountable the same way we would hold ourselves accountable. And again, way more heinous crimes are being ignored. So I just feel like people need to. And I think The Rock is one of those guys. I guarantee you that man was on the island. It's probably why he's back in wrestling. He probably needs to get out of Hollywood and disassociate as quick as possible. Uh, oh yeah, he was talking about eating kids, right? Russian bot. They're like, oh, how do you stay? How do you stay? And they, all the talk about that is called a conspiracy, but it doesn't help when you ask The Rock, how do you get big and strong? Oh, I eat children. It's like, who are you entertaining with that nonsense? Or fathers and mothers watching that, I don't think are going to be very entertained. It's just not a joke. And Saturday Night Live is not supposed to be that kind of humor. It's supposed to be edgy, but again, I'm a Carlin guy. I'm a very young Carlin guy. Give away a little bit about myself, which I don't care because I'm an open book. Grew up without a dad, so George Carlin, that man, I watched like everything I saw from that guy. I've installed into my beliefs, which I take as a very very good thing. I think if somebody who grew up under the tutelage of George Carlin, they're going to have their head on straight. But that guy is just an absolute. He called everything so long ago about exactly what's going to happen as far as where the world is going. If you don't know who George Carlin is, you got to look into him, but he was the first guy to ever host Saturday Night Live. And it's an interesting story, tidbit, but they never, I don't think they might have had him back once or twice, but he's one of those guys who you have him on once and you kind of regret it because you realize, oh crap, he's going to tell too much truths. It was kind of like when Ricky Gervais cut his speech at the Oscars or the Golden Globes, and they quickly regretted it, or they wish they hadn't invited John Cena at the ESPYS. Same thing with Carlin. You invite Carlin to roast your guys or whatever, because it was like an Associated Press event that had Carlin come on too, and they quickly regretted it when he started going into politicians and the stuff you could watch. You would think he was talking about today. So people were like, "We need Carlin today," and I tell them we really don't. Just watch what he said in 1990, and you'll have a pretty good idea. No, I don't know, Tony, who told you that. I'm definitely on the Bills to cover. I'm definitely on the money line for the Bills, but I like the cover as well. The Dolphins winning would match them up again next week. So I just don't think that makes sense. I think Bills Steelers makes sense. I could see of all the teams the Rams doing it, but I can also see of all the teams Dallas getting booted in the first round instead of uh, like the Eagles or the Niners. It's a very Dallas like thing to do to like pummel your way into the playoffs, get yourself a second seed, and then lose to a 9-8 team. So I would actually look out for that. Yeah, CM Punk kind of alluded to that Golden Eagle that The Rock was, maybe quite literally a kiss ass. And again, you don't leapfrog to the top of Hollywood by not being that way, in my opinion. So I definitely feel like CM Punk was onto something. Cena kind of alluded to it too. Yeah, George Carlin, man, that guy again. There's a reason people like he's on TikTok apparently. I That's one app I can never relegate myself to downloading, but I didn't realize how big this guy was on TikTok, and it's just because there's like this new niche of people listening to older stuff. But yeah, like I wasn't old enough to even see him when he was last alive and doing a special, but that's what I wanted. My one of my goals in life was to go to a George Carlin special. Unfortunately, could not, but it's all right. Two interceptions. So that's just, oh, the Lambs get slaughtered by the Lions. That'd be really interesting. I think that's it's going to happen anyway because I think they're going to pass the torch. They're the Super Bowl champs. They at least pretty recently. It makes sense to put the Lions over. Yeah, the Lakers. Well, it could be. They win in season. Everyone puts money on them. Then they start losing. People put money on a different team. Vegas has a bunch of twisted ways to get money out of people. Good job, Andrew. Yeah. Uh, Again, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I don't. I could put the game on behind me. I seen this channel. It's so funny. They freaking have a mirror, and I guess that's how they avoid copyright. And it's just like stupid ass shell looking mirror, and they put it behind them, and then they got the game coming off the mirror. And I don't know how. I guess that is like even though you're technically not watching it as it was transmitted. I would think you still wouldn't be able to do that, but I guess you can. So one of these times we'll have to try out something like that. Get the old mirror in here and watch the game together. Yeah, Phoenix. That's the problem is people can't say that. If somebody tells me they hate Trump's guts, I hear them out. I hear why. And at the end of the day, I'll even concede points and say, you know what, that makes some sense. Okay, let's move on. But like the other way around, you risk being completely labeled, about the canceling, and just considered like just put in this ridiculous box. And it goes both ways. Like I get it's like, oh, if you don't like Trump, you're a snowflake liberal, and if you do like Trump, then you're a MAGA racist. And that's what needs to stop. Like we need to stop, and we're not doing it. I think most people aren't even doing it, but they're trying to act like half the society. It's like a civil war. and that's where they're trying to push people to. But yeah, whoever someone supports, like unless it's like a freaking open racist rapist or something, or open racist with evidence. Again, not a guy who won the 1986 Ellis Island Medal of Freedom for marching with Rosa Parks and Cassius Clay. But with evidence, like an open rapist, racist, an open anything that's deplorable, I could see someone just blindly not liking that person. But when you don't have really the proof and it's just like someone's called something over and over and over again, then it just becomes mockingbird media. Texans would be interesting. I'll tell you what, Triple Mike, if they're going to do something insane, nutty, I think there'd be nothing more fitting than giving us the Browns versus the Lions. Like these two teams never haven't sniffed the playoffs probably in decades. And I feel like if they're going to pull the trigger on one, they might as well do it on both. It would also be interesting because, again, they love pushing Flacco. Now, again, if Flacco by chance does make it, I imagine having him play the Niners with a different team this time, like decades apart. Again, you can already see where that would go. So there's a lot of stories to be told. I like Lamar versus Purdy because if you look at that matchup, it's pretty funny to think about. And again, it might not be the first pick in the draft, but you have the MVP versus the last guy in the draft. So it's a pretty nice contrast. The 0-16 bowl from yeah, that's what I'm saying. Didn't they both go 0-6? I know the Lions did. Or yeah, they were. Didn't they play each other to not be winless? There was something. I think I know what you're talking about, Big Z. And it's good to see you, man. I appreciate everything you do in the Discord. But yeah, I mean these teams are just they've been horrible since their existence. It's not their existence actually. They were really good, but now they suck. And they've sucked for the last like 10 decades. So I do think it'd be really interesting if we got the Browns and the Lions. But Texans would shock the world. I mean, and they've never done it with a rookie, so it would be interesting. Hutch brought up something to me because last year we got the first two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, and they were really pushing that. Texans, I believe, would be the first black coach quarterback combo in the Super Bowl. So I think that might be an inevitability, and at some point they'll push that for sure. Even if it's the AFC Championship, whatever record it is, I think they'll push it. Yeah, the Steelers don't have Watt. It's going to be pretty ugly. I feel like they might find a way to let them do well, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a good old fashioned Bills win. And again, unless the Bills lose tonight somehow, which I just don't see happening. Again, the game's going on, so for all I know, they are losing. I doubt it though, because I think they just got an interception. But my point is, I think we're going to the AFC. I think we nailed on our predictions. Hopefully that stays going on, Steven, because I see it all the time where this guy will just look unstoppable, and then suddenly, he can't escape a paper box. Like it's pretty ridiculous. I've seen him plow through people, and then and speaking of plowing, did you guys watch the Eagles Giants game? We had the Giants winning, by the way, but goodness gracious, the Eagles were missing the most ridiculous tackles in that game. Like I've never seen a team sell quite as bad as that game. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about Bush. I don't know why this year though. Like it's a political year. I get that. I thought about Biden because we could have Old Man Joe, for Cleveland, which I thought was pretty interesting. So like there and we had Joe Burrow, play in the last election year against the Rams, and then the year Trump moved to Florida, Brady won. I think there's definitely political connections, but as far as Bush, I see a lot of people bringing that up in Skull and Bones. I just noticed like not that long ago the Nuggets have the Skull and Bones logo, so I wish I was. But a lot of people had Nuggets Celtics for that reason because they're like, well, the headquarters is in Massachusetts or Connecticut or something. So I don't know. I don't know. Young Mello. Last year they did it with Hertz. They might do it again, and I mean it could be the case. But he's winning MVP, so you might as well fade them now if you're going to. But I don't know if he's necessarily going to be eliminated because he wins MVP. Again, I mean, it does usually mean they're eliminated, but I think they tried to dupe us at the beginning of the year. I actually did mention, I'm not going to take credit because I mentioned it in one video and I mentioned it one time. It would take me hours that I don't feel like caring to snuff through to find it to say, I got told you so. I did say Lamar was going to win MVP because they were like, "Oh, he's not even going to play," and I'm like, "That's bullshit." So when they said that, I actually told people to take him, and at the same time, I said take Demar because he's already the odds-on favorite to win comeback player of the year, and no matter what anybody does, he's going to win it. And sure enough, he's still the favorite to win it after Joe Flacco had the comeback of a lifetime. Yeah, Steven, he gets mad too. He starts slamming his helmet or like slapping himself, doing funny things he uh when he's selling the games. It's pretty obvious. Maybe that's why Allen hasn't got a ring yet because he doesn't sell as good as Patrick. Although Patrick doesn't sell either because if you remember the Super Bowl last year, this guy had a supposedly sprained ankle. He was running down the field like he was mad at the turf, like it owed him money. I've never seen him running that hard, so it's all I think it's all made up. Yeah, Christian, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking AEW did so bad. The cringe just kind of, and I'm sorry to AEW fans. I gave him a chance, and they just completely like I can't even. I when I feel like I could beat up most of the wrestlers, I can't take it seriously. I'm sorry. So like I'm an average sized human being, and I'm taller and in better shape than most of these guys that are like being pushed as these superstars. And then even though WWE's they're all scripted, at least WWE's big guys are like 6'5" and shit. Like at least I'm not looking down on them. AEW they just push everybody because they want it to be a fan friendly type deal. So it looks like fans in the ring. It does. Like I actually trained. I went over this in my last live stream. I did wrestling training at the Samoans Academy, and I'm not kidding. I was in the ring with people that like they just looked way more intimidating than anybody I see for AEW. And there's a few guys. MJF is going to bankrupt that company when he comes to WWE. It's just an inevitability. They had Cody Rhodes, who was the creative genius. They let him go, and then CM Punk just completely buried them, leaving. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think AEW did so bad it rubbed off on the Jaguars, unfortunately. Yeah. So okay, I'm guessing this might be just to sell the over Steven, because I notice that'll happen a lot. You'll have a team drive all the way down the field only to go for it on fourth down and not get it, or throw an interception. So we got to pick for each. Yeah, triple Mike. I went into that earlier. If the big three are playing, I think they're going to win almost every game. It's a narrative they're really pushing. There's probably only going to be about 20 games, probably not even that, all year that they play together. But yeah, if the big three are playing, I think the Suns are definitely a lock. Yeah, I agree, Triple Mike. And thanks for the Patreon. I appreciate it. And I have Buy Me a Coffee. So if you're on the Buy Me a Coffee, not on the Patreon, I thought it would let me send free subscriptions. It doesn't. So again, if most people are just kind of gravitating over, which is great. I still post every night on Buy Me a Coffee, but the Patreon, I'm able to do videos and explain a little better in things I like. And we're going to be doing some stuff soon. Like I said, we're going to have Tim Donahue on pretty soon, and that'll probably go on there first. So we're going to be doing a lot of new stuff. But I appreciate. I know a lot of people just did it to show love, which I greatly appreciate, and I appreciate the people that are trusting the system and tailing. Like I said, if especially if we get the Bills tonight, it'll be a really good football week, like double digit profit. And I think double digit profit on the day if the Bills get the 4 unit win for us. Well, actually, they got to cover the three, but you get my point. Grizzlies. I don't know who are the Grizzlies playing. I think any game where the Grizzlies were probably the games they shouldn't win, they're going to win just because the public won't be on them, and they'll probably lose a bunch of dumb games. But I do think they're going to close the gap. They're just make obviously Ja served his penance, or he wouldn't have come back and got a game winner. So I think they're going to definitely get the Grizzlies. Where again they made 10 seeds for a reason. So now the play in where typically you were get the Grizzlies would be eliminated by like the 60th game. They're probably going to be like 3 or 4 games out. Oh, what's up, Peter? Yeah, I thought okay for the buy me a coffee. Yeah, I thought I sent the link to you because I had to wait for you to officially cancel and on buy me a coffee before I can send the free ones out. If you didn't get it, I'll send it at the end of this. Like I said, I'll attach the link for anybody that wants it. And yeah, I'll definitely send you if you need to get in Discord, I can send you that, as well as I can send you the um the buy me a coffee free subscription, and that's to anybody that signed up for Patreon. If you're still paying on both, like I don't want you having to do that. So like I said, I'll send you a free buy me a coffee subscription. I was just trying to transition people over because I can't do videos on buying me a coffee, which sucks. I thought I could. Johnny K. Oh, you talking about the interception? I'm guessing. Maybe because Josh Allen can be a little. He can foreshadow a lot. Ravens or Bills versus Niners. So I like Ravens and Niners, Christian. I like them from the beginning. But what if you want to get symbolic? The Bills Niners, we would have the bill versus the gold. Dollar bill gold in an election year. It's pretty interesting. So I do have that in mind. But I'm going to stick with Ravens Niners for now. I know it seems obvious, but at this point, I don't think anything's obvious. And you could have argued that last year the Chiefs and Eagles was obvious. So yeah, I like the Ravens and Niners. Are the Raptors playing the Warriors tonight? Because if I thought that would have jumped out at me when I went through it. Maybe they're not, but somebody told me they're playing the Warriors pretty soon, and it's like a 2 point spread. So I love the Raptors there. Yeah, Andrew. I think the OG trade, no pun intended, is literally showing us the OG Knicks when they were very physical. Because he's obviously like a very stifling defender. They got Mitch Robinson. I know he's hurt, but Brunson's a physical point guard. It just seems like they're trying to push the Knicks as a very physical team. So I feel they match up against the Heat. You can already see that becoming like a fight. We predicted Draymond Green punching Nurk. Do you guys remember that? It was like, or it was choking out Gobert. I don't remember which one. No, it was the punch because I remember I specifically said I'm surprised they're not playing the Wizards because he punched Jordan Poole, but I think someone's going to catch a Draymond Green punch tonight. Like that's what I mean. Like we're either way over the target or laughably wrong. But I think it's just because again, it's WWE booking and it's at its finest. No problem, Peter, and thank you. As you know, we've been through so much with the channel, but I always appreciate the support. Uh, like I said, as of late, especially, anytime our analytics are doing good, we get a bunch of bad actors from other channels and things like that. I'm sure you know, but I do appreciate everybody that's sincere and just is wholesome and shows love. Uh, we play, yeah, Niners, yeah, the Blackout Bowl. I thought about that. Last time it was Beyonce. Now they got Taylor Swift in the mix, so obviously it should be with the Chiefs. But I do think we can get a Blackout Bowl rematch, and I think it's a very good story. And you still have the same coach on the Ravens, so it's not like it's that different. Obviously, most of the teams outside of that is different, but also not again. Niners Eagles rematch makes a lot of sense to me because now we might have a no pun intended hurts playing healthy Purdy, whereas last year it was what a fourth stringer playing the Eagles with a healthy Hurts. It could be Steven. I don't know if it was three. Was it three or three and a half? Okay, nice. So hopefully you catch both ends of that. Yeah, sometimes if you know the if it feels like a clip, you can definitely. It's like a safe play because the odds of missing both is pretty slim. But I feel like you have a good chance of getting the 3 point win. Again, that's why I said I love the money line for the wrestling purposes, WWE booking. But it could be like a stupid 1 point game. But at the end of the day, I do like the. I think the cover will hold. Oh, the brother. Yeah. So I have Washington winning. I can't see the. Okay, win. Like you could have both hardballs win. But either way, you're gonna have both hardballs probably go to the championship. One's already gone, obviously. And I don't know. I think Washington's like a perfect underdog story, and they're literally a dog, the Huskies. So I don't know. They've been pushing them as underdogs even when they shouldn't be. When they were playing Oregon, they were acting like it was like Colorado State playing. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this would be the biggest, upset." And they were 10 point dogs, but now it's like what, like a 4 point game. It's really not that big of a spread. So I actually think that they're going to have the big bully Michigan Wolverines lose. Again, I could be wrong, but I haven't been great with college this year. I did have Florida State going undefeated. I guess technically they didn't, but it only counts to 12 games, and it was plus 800. And I found it weird that Florida State had better odds to go undefeated than any other team in college. So yeah, it would be like I said, I feel like with college, it could be either one. 24-24 and 2024. What would that be? Oh, the score. Yeah, I've been pushing. It's funny. I've been pushing for a tie all year. A lot of people have been like making fun of me for it because they're like, "Oh man, you just want that tie so bad." I'm just expecting one. They always do. It seems like at least one draw, but now I guess it's too late. It would be really funny again. I don't know if a tie would end in these two teams playing each other again. I think it would, which would be really funny if they tied and again they're like, oh, 70 or yeah, 75 minutes would it be? Wasn't enough. We're gonna have to play another 3 hours tomorrow or next week. I think that'd be a really interesting uh, line. Yeah, the Grizzlies. I don't know what the game's like, but they're a type of team where I feel like we're better off waiting till the game's live, because I think we're gonna have a lot of late game heroics from Ja. So I feel like there's gonna be a quite amount of games where they're down by like 8 to 12 points and make a run. So obviously, it's going to be hard to call every one of them, but I think for the most part, they're going to have a lot of comebacks just so they can give Ja his flowers. And I see the game's kind of underway, so we'll see how much longer you guys want to go on. Uh, like I said, now that I got good equipment, we'll be able to do these more often as well. So that's another thing that's cool. Uh, you know, for the playoffs, it'll be real fun. We could see which game you guys want to go live for. And like I said, we can always talk about any game. Yeah, Phoenix. It's like wrestling. Like just because you know it's fake, or you think it's fake, and I do too, doesn't mean you can't root for certain people. Just because Chucky's not real doesn't mean I don't root for him. Maybe I'm a nutbag, but I do root for the in a lot of these movies these days, the antagonist, if you will. I find Chucky to be really entertaining. My point is, yeah, you're still gonna. A lot of people still have reasons that they like teams, so I just think knowing it's scripted helps with the gambling aspect. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting your childhood team to win the Super Bowl. I'm glad money's on Michigan because I like the Huskies just because again I think they've been pushed as underdogs all year. Penix did not get the Heisman, which makes it even more interesting. It's like he's got something to prove. I think it just makes sense. Michigan's been pushed as this unstoppable team who cheats, so the money line looks a little sketchy. I like Washington, like plus 170. I think they're getting. Oh, Jake the Snake. Yeah, he was great. I didn't watch much of him. I was, more like Austin and after that, but I do watch old promos. And I'll tell you a story. If I've seen at least probably 20, 30 actors, celebrities come out and say, I'm sober. And, I either laugh or I try not to because maybe it's insensitive, but I can tell they're full of shit. Like they're saying they're sober as they're slurring their words or as their eyes are about like this fucking pinpointed. Jake the Snake is sober. You can hear it in his voice. You can tell that this guy is not sounding like he sounded years ago. So yeah, Jake the Snake is the one honest guy that I could see. Like Scott Hall said he was sober after, and he went to the same rehabilitation center as Jake the Snake, and you could just tell Scott Hall was not sober. All these other guys that say they are Eminem, I don't believe them, but I do believe Jake. He just seemed like he got complete like it's just this clarity that I think you intuitively know when somebody is truly sober. And it's not what he's saying, it's how he's saying it. And you could just tell the dude seems like he's high on life, if you will. Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't have been. Actually, you might not know what happened. You probably do, Golden Eagle. But yeah, Roddy Piper, he started coming out against conspiracies right before he died, like some deep stuff. Like he had all like Alzheimer's or something, so he was like accidentally giving away all the secrets. And yeah, and then he died shortly after. But I thought that was interesting. And what's up, Trey? I'm glad you're here, man. It's always good to see you. I always appreciate. And the snake, yeah, yeah, the Jake Roberts. That's what I was talking about. And he had that snake defanged. But yeah, he said he was afraid of snakes. So that's a pretty funny story. As far as Austin, he wasn't supposed to win that King of the Ring, but Triple H screwed up and he was going to win it. And since he screwed up, basically just he hugged another wrestler that was a bad guy, and Triple H was a good guy. This is back when they really wanted people to think wrestling was real. At that time, so they got caught doing that on camera. And since it was such a serious offense to break character, Triple H did not win the King of the Ring. Instead, Austin did, and that was the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, was he? I don't think he believes me because he's always posting rants on my page. I don't watch any of Jake's stuff. It's brought to my attention when he copies all my picks, but it'll change like one or two of them, and it's just so obvious. So he'll like take all my picks, and he'll usually price his right himself and take one different one and miss it. But yeah, I genuinely don't watch him. So like he actually has an entire channel out where he has it all doctored, and it's like National Sports Entertainment Exposed. It's what I brought up earlier in this video. When I bring up National Sports Entertainment, I don't see a picture of me. It's a picture again of the poster child of Don't Do Meth, and it's just because this guy's always making videos about us, and he'll come on like minutes after if I ever mention him, which is like I exert like 1% of my energy on this guy. So if I do 300 videos, he's probably been mentioned in four of them, and three or four of them, and he immediately, if I say yeah, he's a snake, he's copied from us. I have the screenshots to prove it. Immediately on here with like one of his aliases, Jake plays slots. I can't. These are real names. Jake needs help. All these different names, and he'll defend himself. Oh, Jake doesn't copy you. And then the next comment, he'll speak in the first person. Oh yeah, you're just mad at me because this, that, and the other thing. Stop lying about me. I'm gonna make a video, and you're gonna rue the day. And he stopped doing it because I think he realized people were watching his videos, seeing an unhinged nut job, coming over here, seeing more of a wholesome vibe, and it didn't work out too well for him. But yeah, the dude just stalks our channels, and again, either he's blocked on here, so he might have another account. There's this guy Greg from Texas who comes on here, always just randomly defending Jake. So that guy is definitely Jake or somebody else. But yeah, it's ridiculous. He'll leave stuff afterwards in my comments like diatribes. I can't make this up. If you guys remember Pat Trudner, I went to sleep one night because Jake was again leaving diatribes on my page. I responded as kindly as I could to a few of them, suggested couple close centers where he could possibly get some help if a place would take him, and I went to sleep. I woke up to no less than 20 messages between Pat Trudner, who used to have a channel of his own, but he just stopped because people weren't watching him anymore. And these two went back at it for like an hour, arguing on my comment section. And it's like these guys have their own channels. Like, can you imagine? Like, I don't know. I can never imagine myself doing that. It just, I have a life, and they're such projection artists too. So everything that they like throw at people, you can just tell that they're guilty of. Yeah, Pat. I thought Pat was gone, Steven. And yeah, and Jake, he stole my Yeah, he thanked me, and I have the screenshot. If you guys want to see it, I could, always upload it. But the dude was literally like, "I never knew how scripted this stuff was until I was watching your channel. You really know your stuff. You don't even have to watch college, and you know what teams are going to cover the spread." Like 1 hour later, he has that post up. Hey, everybody, everyone that tailed me, good job. We killed it. We killed Vegas today. And he started doing it again this year. And then when I showed the screenshot, he got really mad. I made like 3 videos about me and got even more mad when I'm like, dude, I don't know. I really didn't watch your videos. I don't care about them. And yeah, he just kind of got really unhinged. But yeah, guy like Johnny and everyone else, Triple Mike, like it really is. Like I thought they were controlled opposition at first, but then I realized like I don't think so. I just think that they're unhinged egomaniacs because they've both gone after this channel so hard. I thought they were in collusion at first until they had that 1 hour argument on my comment section while I was fast asleep like a baby. Just absolutely ridiculous. And then they, of course, like Jake deletes all of his comments. But again, to delete your YouTube channel, this is Pat now, and stalk my comments and then argue with Jake is just ridiculous. These guys want drama. I think they're algorithm writers, so they try and talk about what's popular. And the second chance they get, they want to like Pat switched over to poker. From what I can was told, Jake will cover a wide array of topics, including him tasing a kid with autism. Apparently, that one he had uploaded apparently, and again, Pat Trudner, he had reposted that one. The one thing I can say about Pat is he definitely makes my case about Jake being a complete nut job because that dude is just if you want in context, not even out of context, it's just a pretty bad scene. Which is why again I just completely blocked everything from him, and I've been my sanity's risen a lot since. Is the game still 0-0? I wouldn't be surprised, but it sounds like the game might still be 0-0. Oh, thanks, Shane. Yeah, so it's I went into this before. It's like, people can some people are probably gonna hate the shirt, but at the end of the day, this is over taxes, and there's people, hundreds of people that are on a log where they went to an island to do unspeakable acts, and people don't want those people punished nearly as much as this man for taxes, and it's just ridiculous. I just think again, people need to get their priorities. At least the one thing I try to never be, so you guys can let me know if I ever am. I try to never be a hypocrite. So if I catch myself being a hypocrite, or someone says, "Hey, you said this and now you're doing this," I'll be the first one to say, "You know what? You're right. I actually should hold a difference." And I don't like hypocrisy. I never have. I think it's one of the ugliest outside of projection, because projection is very effective if people don't listen and don't pay attention. I think being a hypocrite is absolutely the most unspeakable thing. To have a moral system that you actively violate and go against makes no sense. So yeah, I always try and be consistent. I was a Bernie guy. I actually said, what if Trump ran and Bernie as vice president back in 2016? So like I see both sides, but they've tried to create these boxes now where it's like you're either just this evil Trump supporting monster, or if you don't like Trump, it's because you're just a snowflake liberal. And they need to stop doing that. That's all they want. Yeah, Phoenix, Steven. They do more. They send like they make again, they make accounts, and they've actually, I know for a fact one of them actually did subscribe to my Patreon. So they're actively paying me money just so they can, I guess, get the goods on me, if you will. And I know it just based off of dialogue that I've had. Jake, I have the screenshot of him banned from my Discord. Pat Trudner tried joining my Discord. These people won't leave me alone, and then they have the audacity to get mad like the 10 minutes I'm able to voice my disdain for them and their attitudes, their toxicity. And yeah, I think sometimes they put it in their names on purpose, So like when someone's telling you they're an asshole, they're gladly admitting to being an asshole. There's a good chance they're an asshole. Like, it's the old like if it walks and talks like a duck. So at the end of the day, like I would never want someone, knowing me as John the Jerk. It just wouldn't make much sense. It sounds cool, I guess, but who the hell wants to be known as that? If it's self-deprecation, I get it. But again, I just think the guy's a complete gimmick. Is the game still 0-0? It is. All right, cool. So that's I guess that's again, I the over unders, I never pick them. It looks like you're going to get that there, Steven. It could open up, but I don't think it'll open up that much. I'm guessing they probably had some public on the overs thinking this was going to, I thought it'd probably be a shootout, because my logic was they're going to have Allen and Tua look pretty competent going into the playoffs. But now it's looking like they're going to have them look like the complete opposite. Yeah, Shane, that's like the news, Twitter. Like division's always been used. Whether it was the freaking Roman Renaissance, whether it doesn't matter what time it was, division has always been the main recipe. Yeah, I saw that. Some people were saying it's going to be a trash game because it's on Peacock, but they're owned by NBC. Peacock. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter that much. I'm curious the what the game's going to be, of course. And isn't it interesting? Like, so this year, because for the gematria people, we have gematria where they obviously the prime numbers, right? And now we got games, prime time games on Amazon Prime. It is almost like they put it in our face. Now I can't do anything with that information, but I just find it interesting. And then there's Coach Prime. So like, how many times, like when they, I think it's called like the mirror effect. When they say a word so many times, it's for a reason. I always found that interesting. I'm like, we got Amazon Prime, Coach Prime, Prime time. There was one game where Coach Prime played prime time on Amazon Prime. Game probably ended in a prime number. Oh yeah, good catch, Prime. I didn't even think about Prime the drink. Yeah, maybe Logan Paul's onto something. Maybe it's like a sign you sold out. When you use the word Prime, or you adopt that name. But it's pretty interesting. I've heard Prime, in like two different contexts, and this year I've heard it in like seven different contexts. But yeah, like there's another one like Logan Paul. You have to be talented to do what he did. Optimus. Yeah, I never seen the Transformers. There's so many classics I've never seen, and this was before people turned on Hollywood, rightfully so. But I still plan on seeing them. But it's funny. I'll tell people movies I've never seen, and they'll be like, "You're insane." I've never seen Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I've never seen The Lord of the Rings. Really, the long movies I've never seen. I'm a horror movie guy, so I've seen all the stupid horror movies like The Killer, Gingerbread Man, and all these stupid movies. Jack Frost is an underrated gem. But yeah, I need to see Transformers, and I need to see a lot of just classics. I've seen some old classics because I like watching really old shit. So like Wizard of Oz, Paper Moon, and stuff. But yeah, there's so many '80s, '90s, '70s classics I didn't see. Yeah, Shane, I'm telling you, you self medicate with some cannabis and watch a good B horror movie. There's nothing better. The acting it makes it funnier, and the just everything about it. The archetypes. Some of the B horror movies. I think Jack Frost might be the greatest B horror movie of all time. I argue Jack Frost is funnier than Chucky. If you think Chucky, Ghostface, like those guys, the shit talkers, Leprechaun are pretty funny. Jack Frost puts them to shame. In a rap battle, he would body bag all of them with his ice. And what's interesting is can't make this up. The protagonist of Jack Frost, the Killer Snowman, died in an avalanche. So yeah, think about that one for a second. I haven't seen Silent Night, Deadly Night. I heard that was good, but isn't Jack Frost great, Trey? They had a sequel, which was pretty funny too. But I recommend anybody watch the Jack Frost and Jack Frost 2. Scream 2, Dave. So Scream, I still regard as the greatest horror movie of all time. I could make a channel, and no offense to these other guys, I watch them. I think they're good. I could put these things you missed in Scream to shame. There are things I noticed in that movie that it's so layered. It's, in my opinion, the greatest movie of all time. Just a quick like observation. Anyone that's seen Scream, I've seen The Godfathers. I feel like that's one. Do you guys remember when LeBron James lied about what was it? It was either because I forget if it was "Say hello to my little friend" from Goodfellas. I'm trying to think if it was Scarface, but either way, he completely screwed up the quote and said he never seen it, or he said he's seen the movie. And when they asked him his favorite quote, he either gave the wrong quote or he just searched his mind for like 20 minutes and he's like, "Yeah, they're all good." And then he did the same with the Malcolm X book when they had him like, "Oh, what's your favorite part of the book? You're three-quarters of the way into it." Oh, it's so deep, man. It's just so deep. Like it was pretty hard to watch, but yeah, LeBron he needs to like have something in his ear at all times, or he's just gonna really screw up. But yeah, so I have to watch more like again of the like I seen the I guess they'd be more like drama. The Godfathers, the I consider Sixth Sense a drama. Some consider it a horror. But a lot of like the more paranormal ones, aliens, like I said, Transformers, Indiana Jones, that's action, not paranormal. It seems kind of paranormal. Never seen any of them. Mission Impossibles, all that stuff. Miami's moving it. Yeah, they might score first. I'm not sure. Is Tales from the Crypt the one with that horror legend? What's his name? Danny Trejo. Yeah, I can't remember Dream if he quoted Scarface there or if he said he saw. I think he either said he saw Godfather and quoted that, or he saw he just said he saw Godfather and he couldn't come up with a quote. But I'm pretty sure it was Godfather. I didn't see Tales from the Crypt with Danny Trejo. It is offered on one of the stupid packages that comes with my Roku. I think it's like Peacock or one of them. So I might check that one out. I like ones that are funny and like I like the funny horror movies. Dale and Tucker was a good one. Some of them I feel like are swings and misses, but for most of them, it's definitely good. What's up? I hate Lakers, and yeah, you're not in the wrong place. We were just kind of side tangenting on about movies for a second, but yeah, I like to just be open topics anyway. If someone wants to talk about paint drying, why not? But anyway, yeah, there's it's seeming like okay, so 7-0 Miami. I feel like again, if Miami wins, I just feel like it's such an anticlimactic finish. And yeah, I will do more live streams, Andrew. I plan on it. My last one, I was talking about aliens and we got cut off. And I'm not making that up. You can go back and listen to it. Now, it was my faulty equipment, so I'm not blaming the extraterrestrials, but it was funny timing. We were talking about aliens and people were like, "Wait, we can't hear you anymore." So that happened. But yeah, I typically was doing these like at least I was trying to get them like once a month, but we can even do it, once a week or something of that nature, especially if my equipment will work with us, and it seems like it definitely is. So Again, I got a grainy computer, but I don't care. I get as long as you guys can hear me. Hopefully, Dave's not still getting the echo. I know you said you were earlier. Yeah, that's probably smart, Steven. I'm hoping it hits for you. I just again, I do so bad with props. If I combine them, the odds of one of them hitting me for me are so slim that I try and go with the non-obvious people, and then the obvious guys score. And then when I'm like, okay, the obvious guy might score this time, it's going to be then all the backups score. The Lions, every time I pick Montgomery, Gibbs scores. Whenever I pick Gibbs, Montgomery scores. Today they both scored. I didn't pick a prop, but I just stay away from them. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure, Dave. I'm always looking for good B horror movies. I'm not sure if it's a B horror movie, but it kind of comes across that way. No Waddle. Yeah, money might be on Hill, but again, it could be they might use him to show why they're so he's a cheat code as they say. So you never really know. I saw his name. Isn't his wife's name very similar? Because they're calling him a cheat code. His nickname's Cheetah, and I think his wife's name is Kita. So again, I feel like when they do stuff like that, it's like some kind of weird Batman signal code they have, but I don't know what to do with it. I'd be lying if I said I did. But yeah, I think once a week we'll do a live at least. I think that'll be cool. All right, cool. I'm guessing I had some wind coming in. I had my window open, so I'm imagining maybe the wind sufficed or not sufficed, subsided. I hate despise when I misuse words. I think the wind might have subsided just a little bit here, and that's probably the echo you were getting. Yeah, he had the fire. So A, was it a real fire? And it probably was. Like I'm not saying these guys don't have things happen to them, but I do wonder if that's going to play a role. Oh, the thing. They made that twice, right? Dream. Wes John Carpenter, then Wes Craven. I didn't see either, only because it looks like such a weird movie. I don't know. I didn't know what to think of it. But as far as scary, I'll tell you guys this: I can watch, and again, this isn't something I should advertise. It just I grew up watching horror. I could watch Saw while eating my dinner, but what I'll say is, if you watch the original Sleepaway Camp, the ending of that movie was the most disturbed I've ever been watching any movie, probably including the Human Centipede. It was just very disturbing, but it wasn't just complete, disgust like the Human Centipede. It was actually pretty scary, and I was a kid too, so it really left an impression on me. But yeah, if you want to see like a creepy ass movie, and then Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 are just hilarious with a completely different actress, but she kills it. And I actually thought they were much better, but the end, right, Russian bot. That was the creepiest, weirdest, most unexpected ending. No, like you guys think Saul was twisted and weird. Just watch Sleepaway Camp, and like, if anyone said I predicted that exact outcome, they're either they belong in a loony bin or they're full of crap because I don't think anybody saw that happening. I'll have to check that one out, Trey. I haven't seen that one, but I've heard about it a million times. I could see. I mean, if the Bucks were to win, it'd be interesting. Again, we did a really good job picking the playoff seedings, assuming the Bills win, which would right now they're down obviously, but for the most part we have them down pat. And as far as who advances, I feel like some teams make perfect sense, but I do think we're going to get one crazy, NFC upset as far as, or at least because the AFC I don't see the upset happening. I mean, I guess we could, but there's really not that many. We have probably Bills Pittsburgh, and there's no way that's going to be an upset again, unless the Bills lose and then they play the Dolphins again, which would be kind of just weird in my opinion. Yeah, we're not going to get Love Hurts. It looks like someone brought that to my attention, and I thought that was way too good to pass up on. But then I realized we needed the Cowboys to lose and the Eagles to win, which just made it much difficult. Tales from the Hood. There is also a Tales from the Crypt, you know. That's why I thought you were talking about. There's a Tales from the Crypt with isn't Tales from the Hood Snoop Dogg? Because Tales from the Crypt was I think Danny Trejo. That's the one I didn't see. I think I saw Tales from the Hood. There there's some I've seen some funny movies with there's the Leprechaun in the Hood is pretty funny too. Yeah, Love Beats Dallas. It could happen. You never know. It would be the most Dallas thing ever to get bumped out in the first round. I feel like after like just and especially because Michael Parsons has that podcast. I feel like it'd be a great way to just to like have a bunch of things to talk about. That being said, I don't know if they're going to. It's a decent story for the Packers. I just don't know if they're gonna pass up on possibly Dallas Detroit again. I think they want to get Dallas Detroit again because of the screw job. So now it makes perfect sense in my opinion. You get Dallas Detroit again because people are saying, "Oh well, it was already a big deal because Detroit got the they got snubbed out of the second pick." But it's still a pretty big deal because again they could play each other again now, and the whole Dan Campbell thing. Again, you guys should check out OG Lightskins. It was like Dan Campbell against the Cowboys. I think that's what the title was. They were pretty darn funny. That was a good bit. I really like their channel. I'm hoping that they're on the up and up because there's not many in this sector that is. Oh, okay. Dennis Miller. That's the guy that laughs at all of his own jokes. I think he has the mustache. I remember like he was pretty funny. If it's the same Dennis Miller, but everything this man said, he would laugh afterwards, and it just kind of diminished the punchline. It was like the opposite of Carlin, who just flawlessly says the most hilarious things and doesn't even smile. Dennis Miller would just like crack the dumbest joke in the world. You know, like, "Oh, is your refrigerator running?" And then you see him he, like trying to contain his own laughter. But yeah, he doesn't seem like a terrible guy, I guess. Detroit, yeah, if they match up against each other, I think Detroit would knock out Dallas. That's just what I think. Um, I think it just makes perfect sense. Oh, Tupac's wife. That's pretty cool. My cousin gave me a really cool thing. It was Tupac's diary. So you see his bars from this for the song, and next to it you see the diary inscription. So you can kind of see where his mind was at when he was writing. To anyone that listens to rap, I defy you to go listen to K Reno, listen to Grand Deception, listen to Connectivity, listen to any K Reno song and tell me he's not the greatest rapper of all time. And it's a complete tragedy and travesty that nobody's ever heard of this man. He has dropped the by far the most advanced bars I've ever heard. It's K with a hyphen. You don't need to do the hyphen. And then Reno, Rino, kind of like Republican in name only. But his name is K Reno. Uh, and yeah, he is just a complete menace. I mean, his lyrical prowess is untouchable. If you want lyrical prowess, listen to Connectivity. If you want some like red pilling, listen to Grand Deception. He's been rapping since the 80s or 90s. If you want just something goofy or funny, there's a song called Bass Ackwards where he literally raps about doing everything backwards. The guy can do it all. If you want a story annihilation of the evil machine, it's a complete travesty. This guy is not goaded on every list. He's just been buried because he hasn't sold out. And you guys see Cat Williams in the news, huh? That's pretty cool, huh? Gridiron Heights. Yeah, they keep showing the Ravens and Niners when they're showing the NFL. So it just makes me feel like Dave that they're telling us it's going to be those two teams. I could be wrong, but it definitely feels like it. Steven, that's awesome. I'm glad. And Vegas, dude, I don't only if it so they do apply the spreads. Of course, I'm sure the guy could have intercepted it. I don't know. I'm not watching, but with spreads, they do carry over into the postseason. So if a team is horrible on the over and they're in the postseason, I'm likely to take the over. Yeah, please check them out. People say they will, but you'll be doing yourself a favor because the guys just again, I've never. It depends on what you want. If you want to hear a guy just have the best lyrics ever, listen to Connectivity. And then if you want to like listen to again, just drop in truth like George Carlin. You got Grand Deception, No Redemption. You got so many. If you want an awesome story, Annihilation of the Evil Machine, a goofy song again, Bass Ackwards. Talking to Me is a funny one. He raps about his shit procrastinating with him. So he's like, my TV's talking to me, my couch wants me to walk with it. It's insane, you know. And he makes it so fucking easy. So any song is fine, but he puts such creativity into these songs. I've never seen it like anything like it. And the fact that so few people, it's like a Mortal Technique times a million, if that's a good way of putting it. It's really you can't compare him. I saw the Christmas picture. I remember Mahomes was with dogs. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember what most of them were doing. I remember some guy was putting the star on the tree, basic stuff. But I would like to look at it because I know they give away stuff with the logos, with the Super Bowl emblems, with the pictures. I saw the video where it's like the NBA stars ransack NFL headquarters. That was Gridiron Heights. And literally all you see is Ravens. And now it was the Christmas game. So, of course, Ravens and Niners are playing. But they were like the only, you had other teams playing and they showed nobody else that was playing. So it seems like Gridiron Heights is kind of tipping us off to the Niners and Ravens. J Electric. What's J Electronica? I'm not sure. Electronica or electronics, I'm guessing. I honestly, I know so little outside of like new trends or names or channels. That could be a million things to me. I'm guessing it's a person, but I don't know. It could be a business. I like Rakim. No, I like to be contrarian. Uh, Out of them two, I like Tupac simply because he transitioned into, in my opinion, more of a spiritual rap. I think that's why they wanted him gone. You know, he really changed it up when he started rapping more about. He put more soul into it, and it was less about smack rap and things that got introduced into rap that really didn't help the culture, in my opinion. So Tupac seemed like he wanted to get away from that mainstream narrative of okay, let's push guns and violence in the songs. And just from the research I've done, that's another thing. Trump wanted to open those files. He opened a lot of them actually, where people can look into them, and he got so much flack for that. So it's like, okay, this guy wanted to open the Tupac files. How's that a bad thing? So there's a lot of things that people, I think, are going to find out pretty soon. I had a weird theory that Eminem was part of the Tupac job because this dude came out of nowhere, and I just thought it was interesting. And there's in a song when he's dissing MGK, sorry. Eminem messed him up so bad I forget his name. He says to him when he's like, it's in the middle of his shit and he's just talking, and he goes like, death threater or love letter. You rap better, I dress better, some shit like that. Well, he wrote a love letter to Tupac's mom and Eminem, and it said "Love Eminem." And in that, and it was a seven. And he had said in the letter, like when I was 7 years old, I listened to Tupac. And in another song, Eminem says it might have been the same song. He's like, I could fill a whole page with a 7 year old rage. So it's weird that he says that, and then he mentioned, "Oh, that'll be the day that Dre mentioned that he got Pac killed or whatever." So he mentioned him dying. He mentioned being a 7 year old writing, and then he wrote Tupac's mom a love letter. Where he's like death threat or love letter after Tupac died. I thought it was all weird, so I thought maybe part of Eminem's initiation was being in on that hit job. I'm curious if anybody else had that opinion. I doubt it, but I'm the only one crazy enough to think about that stuff. But nobody ever thinks of that name when they think of people that would have been part of it. And to me, that's a great way to initiate a guy. Yeah, hey, help us with this. So I know Suge and all these other guys get blamed, but I do wonder if Eminem was a part of that. I can't triple mic. I have no rhythm. Okay, so like, I I mean, my friend has a joke. He tells me if you have good writtens, I don't think I have good flow at all, to be honest. But if you have good writtens, you then good riddance because you need to freestyle. And I could rhyme words, like I do the random the random word generator. But like rapping to a beat's so freaking bad for me, and even just rapping in general. Like I do much better when I write stuff down, and I'm a perfectionist. So when I'm writing stuff down, I see homophones all the time, and I ghost writ for a lot of people actually, just different friends of mine that put out stuff. But yeah, I can't rap for shit. I'll be the first to admit it. I try, I try sometimes, but oh, that's his rap name. Okay, check out Jay. I'll definitely check him out. That's what I'm saying. I'm so out of touch with some things. I had no idea what you're talking about. But I'll check out Exhibit B. All right, I'll remember that one easy. But yeah, I love rap. Battle rap's my favorite, to be honest. I think I think it takes a lot of different skill sets to be able to battle rap. Again, you have to be able to have already have good rhythm. On top of that, you have to be quick off the dome for if you're going to choke or if there's freestyles to be had. You know, pick up things in the room. Yeah, so triple mic again. I wrote that down. I was kind of just goofing around. I actually have way better like bars, not to be cocky. I like that I've written than that NBA video. But yeah, that was just I was doing the greatest 10 players of all time, and I'm like, let me rap this out, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, I wish I had rhythm. I have a very monotonous voice, so it makes rhythm almost impossible. But yeah, I just kind of write for the most part. Like people see my writing and they're like, "Oh shit," you know. But since I don't rap well, I never really felt the need to put it out there. Puffy, yeah. See, I don't know who like I know so many names that floated around with Tupac. I just thought it'd be really interesting if was it? Oh, you're saying Eminem said it was Diddy or Puff? Yeah, I think he did say it was Puff. But yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting if Eminem was part of that. You know, it'd be unfortunate, of course, but I just get a weird feeling when I think of him. Kate Rothschild. I'm guessing she's a Rothschild. I'm just not sure. I don't know if it's dead. Hip hop, well, rap. It's there's so many different sectors of it now. You got I actually I'm starting to think he's controlled opposition. You got Tom MacDonald, who's obviously very polarizing, and there's not many rappers that are pushed at it seems like these days that are rapping about anything that we haven't heard. Tom MacDonald's one of them, but he's very sneaky. He was right. I think he might be an algorithm writer because he was rapping pro Antifa, which is fine. That's what he wanted to rap. But then in 2017, when MAGA got popular, he started going all MAGA. So to have that flip of quick of a 180 seems a little convenient in my opinion, but I could be wrong. I've heard about that Big Z. Michael Jackson said something very interesting. Like, I'm gonna have to leave for a while. Because he had basically screwed Sony on a deal where he got a lot of money and was able to retain rights to all of his intellectual property, and they were pissed off about it, and he left. And there's a lot of controversy with if Tupac, Kurt Cobain. I've seen Michael Jackson. A lot of people that might be alive. You have to imagine these people have crazy connections. I would not put it out of the realm of possibility, is all I'll say. Especially if you look at some of the investigations that were done. Oh, he dated a Rothschild. Okay. Goldstein. Gosh, there's like the two most elitist sounding names. I that's another reason I'm not sure about Tom McDonald. You have Nova Rockefeller as his girlfriend, and it's not a real name, but she chose it. And she was with like a bunch of big labels, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm independent," but she does all my shit. So it's just kind of interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't sure the extent of it, like them two together, because I know Eminem would have been really young when Pac was killed, but or if he was, or whatever might have happened. But yeah, it's the I think they would have had some kind of meeting or some kind of a formal picture with Eminem and Pac together. So that's cool. I didn't know they had a thing produced with the two of them. It's just really interesting that the Eminem's rise right as Tupac, was taken out of the picture. Yeah, I listen to I'm from the '90s myself, so I listen to '90s. I listen to stuff dating back as long back as I find, like, as long as it's interesting. Like I like Sinatra, I like Elvis, I like Muddy Waters. So I like some old people. And then as far as new, like I said, I want K Reno. After hearing K Reno, there's nobody else I've listened to that I think touches him. I did a video on that about Kobe. So he went to war with Nike and Disney at the same time. Talk about a guy with balls, and the pharmaceutical companies, because he was bringing out supplements that were going to help with the various amounts of diseases and things of whatnot. So he had like three different major enemies, like three of the eight uh, legs of the oligarchy probably wanted this guy gone. So he also was in China and different countries where he saw working conditions. That's why, again, I believe he was going to launch Mambasita. And yeah, just the stuff that it isn't weird they have a Mo Bamba on the team. Am I the only one that finds it funny? I know he left, but it was just weird. He like never played. He was just there, kind of, and his and you can't spell Mo Bamba without Mamba. But anyway, I think at the very least they went after Kobe, and I'm hoping because he cut a couple cryptic videos, like motivational videos, before going. I'm hoping that he knew and maybe was able to get away. You never know. Either theory I have is pretty sad to think about. Like if he had a dip because he thought they were after him, or even worse if they took this guy out. But I don't think Kobe, Allen Iverson were ever supposed to be as big as they were. They weren't the powers that be. So I just feel like they they got pushed because the fans wanted them, and then eventually they just, once they retired, I don't think Kobe sold out nearly to the extent of these other guys, which is again probably why they didn't like him too much. Behold a Pale Horse. No, I have not. I'm not sure who wrote that. I'll be honest. I've been a lot of audiobooks I've listened to, but I've always had a freaking. It's because I have like severe ADHD and other things. When I read, I'll read like the same page 10 times, and I won't retain any of it. I don't know what it is. If I'm reading something, I do not really. It just does not resonate with me at all. But if I'm listening to it, it really does. So I've been listening to a lot of like the old books and such, but I haven't read Behold the Pale Horse. I'm not sure who wrote that, or I'm guessing it's more of like a documentary or some kind of like serious book since we're talking about like theories and such. But no, I'll definitely check it out though, especially if there's the audiobook version. It's funny. I was talking about Warren Moon today, Trey. Just because he doesn't seem to ever get the love. Yeah, you've brought up Bill Cooper a couple of times. You know, it's funny. I've heard of Bill Hicks. I've heard of Patrice. I heard, Carlton. Obviously, I never heard of Bill Cooper. I'm not sure what time he was, or I must be under a rock because like they recommend obviously stuff you listen to for the most part. So like when I watch Carlin, they'll recommend other guys like Carlin, and for some reason, like I've Norm Macdonald. I've seen them all. William Milton Cooper. I'll have to check him out. I've never heard of Bill Cooper. The only Bill, when people say Bill, I thought of as like Bill Hicks. So because he was obviously pretty anti-establishment. But yeah, I'll definitely check out. I'm looking forward to it because, gosh, I've seen Stephen Wright. I've seen a lot of the older comedians. Stephen Wright, he has some pretty good delivery. But yeah, I never seen Bill Cooper. Yeah, Hicks was pretty. I don't know if like how deep he was into the theories. Uh, I just think he had a pretty good pulse on. I know he was hard. Him and Carlin both had a very similar take on religion. I think Carlin's take on religion was more complex, but yeah, Hicks was very on point as far as the government. Yeah, I can't believe I never heard of Bill Cooper. This is driving me nuts. Like I've heard of so many comedians that probably aren't even nearly as good as him. Former military. Yeah, you guys know Carlin was military. I bet like nobody would have pinned Carlin for the military. He jokes about how he was like, dishonorably discharged. He's like, yeah, go figure. Who would have guessed? But yeah, I think actually he wasn't dishonorably. I think he was just being self deprecating himself. But yeah, he was in the military. A lot of people you wouldn't guess. Conspiracy theory collection, cult classic, just stuff. Oh, that's cool. No, I'll have to check that out though. It does remind me of because it sounds like a collection. It reminds me of the Illuminati game of cards, which is really weird. It's like a game of cards that they apparently the powers that be use to play a board game, and when we are the pawns in that board game. So it's like, up, you lost. We have to go kidnap a million Ukrainians. It's pretty messed up. So I'm not sure exactly the extent of it, but I could certainly see that happening. You know, um, I forget who talked about this. It might have been. Here's another guy. You guys, he, he's a walking meme. You're either gonna love him or hate him, but he says things that you have to agree with, and it's Andrew Tate, and he was talking about that same thing as far as the when you are that rich and you already have everything you need, and you have nothing to wake up to tomorrow where you can say I'm accomplished, then control is the next step, and you want to. There's really no extent to where your control can go. You can use your control if you have enough money and enough connections. You can control essentially everything. So it's not that outlandish to believe that psychopaths with a lot of money who are completely out of touch with reality, who think they're better than people, would use their money to do the most ridiculous things like playing games, board games with people's lives. Alex Jones. Yeah, I saw someone else wrote that, unless you said it. Yeah, the Illuminati card game. I think it's like of 84 or some shit. Or, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, though. And Jones, he's another one. It's like the guy has said a lot of crazy things, but he's probably told us more truth than the mainstream media. So what does that tell us? So yeah, I definitely believe in social engineering. I think it's an umbrella like topic, but as far as manipulating people and whether if you whether you think it's 5G technology, whether you think it's stuff that they're embedding in people or just conditioning through the news, I think there's 100% just a complete, again, I think it's like Mockingbird Media where they have everybody completely conditioned to where they need to be, and the last thing they want is a free thinking society that is coming to their own rationalizations. The one thing that I've noticed, especially like you go to Twitter every once in a while, is yeah, it's socially engineered for a constant civil war, and there's money to be made there. But the one thing I noticed, and it's very very discouraging, is the amount of people that will argue using nothing but sound bites these days. Like they will just use a sound bite then, and they got it from like a certain news outlet because it's the only like misinformation. You don't hear that word now. All of a sudden, people are like, "Oh, that's misinformation." And when you can't even come up with your own vocabulary, it's very discouraging because it just shows a lot of these people that are arguing for a certain stance, they have no idea what they're even arguing for. They're just repeating sound bites. Yeah, I mean, truth, exactly. And that's the thing. Sometimes people will argue, Snoopy, is truth worse coming from controlled opposition? And it's like, again, let's assume Tom McDonald or Trump, any of these guys. Let's assume they're controlled opposition. It's bad what they're doing. It's a horrible. Oh, Hill did get one, so it's 14-7. Yeah, I think Diggs might respond with one. Even though I said usually not him and Davis. Oh no, Diggs already got one. Yeah, I think Diggs can get a second one for sure. And we'll get back to that. I didn't mean to ramble too much. I'll let talk about anything in here. But yeah, if someone's controlled Oppo and they're dropping truths, again, it's like these other channels, that they make anybody else that believes what they believe look like unhinged nutbags because it's like, oh, if you have to show somebody freaking Jake as your voice of reasoning to prove a certain theory, it's not going to look too well when people see how unhinged he is. So I think controlled Oppo can be deadly, but they are still waking people up. Like at the end of the day, with what came out of Trump and then all the stuff that he has said, people know way more than they did before, which I think is a victory. Same with again Tom McDonald, all these other guys. I'm not saying it's not just terrible if they are controlled opposition, but I think it's counterintuitive to wake people up prematurely, and that's what it seems like happened with Trump. So if he was controlled oppo, I feel like they could have waited a little bit instead of like waking people up and now risk having too many people tune out, which kind of happened. So I'm always open to the idea of controlled oppo, and yeah, it's like morally it's probably worse than someone who's honest and just says this is what I think on the other end. But at the same time, at least it does still wake people up for the most part. Yeah, I think that did it. I live in Florida, okay, and they said, "Oh, it's terrible in Florida." From what I could tell, nothing changed. I can also say, and this is just me personally, I didn't once wear a mask. I would, from the few times I wore a mask outside when I was killing weeds, I could barely breathe. Yeah, I felt like I had a sore throat afterwards, and that's when I'm wearing it. When I'm spraying poison, but again, the particles of the virus can get through a mask. You would have to literally be walking around with your mouth, your orifices taped shut, or in a hazmat suit. If you want to completely, and I respect you if you want to do that, but the mask isn't going. The shirts around the face never gonna work. So I was like one of the few people that would walk into stores, and I had never felt shameless. I know some people would walk into a store and feel like, oh, I feel so bad. I'm the only one not wearing one. But I can happily say I never once did that. And if you did, it's fine. I mean, that's your opinion. But didn't get a flu, didn't get a respiratory infection, didn't get in the last 4 or 5 years. It didn't get any of that stuff. I personally know dozens of people that have got this booster, got this jab, and now they've have heart issues after 80 years of no. Like, I'm talking my stepfather. I'm talking my neighbors. I'm talking my sister's family. In-laws. I'm talking my uncles, and I'm not seeing it the other way around. So I agree, D. I think that was the best thing that could have possibly happened. So many people. Aiden, I'll tell you, like I don't know what context you mean that in, but it opened up a lot of opportunities for because so many people didn't leave their houses that other people were out and they got jobs, got good jobs that other people left. I got a good sales job during COVID. I don't work at that one still, but there was a lot of opportunities when that happened. The Creeps Blueprint, that sounds like a good one. I'm wondering what quarter are we in? I'm curious. It's got to be close to halftime, right? Yeah, and I just don't get it, D. It's like, okay, and I made a joke about this to somebody, and then they actually passed a law. So I don't want to, but I was like, people get home, they sanitize all their stuff, and then they take it, right? Okay, what if they have a dog and that dog sniffs a pole that somebody just spit on? Are you going to sanitize your dog's nose? Like, no, you take your dog on a walk, you can risk getting quote COVID. Sure enough, they actually started, and this is where a lot of people drew the line because they care more about pets than themselves, which I can always respect. I care way more about animals than people. But they passed a law in Jersey and a couple other states that banned you walking your dog because you could catch COVID. Now they're saying, "Oh, you have to get these certain medications for your dogs because they can get it." I think they're trying to tug on our heartstrings. Okay, they're not going to let their dogs possibly get sick, but they were paying people to take things. They were doing everything, and now again, anytime it could be something could be a result of the vaccine. It's just never mentioned. It's completely ignored and tuned out. And like if there's like one case where someone didn't get it and they get the flu or whatever you want to call it, it's immediately honed in on. And all the people I know that got it have gotten the virus like 3, 4 times. So again, I don't want to, offend people, but I think most people do understand we are healthy individuals. If we drink tea, eat our vegetables, work out, we're healthy minded. We wake up with purpose in the world. I think most people understand that's going to keep you healthier than anything, even medication. There's medications we need, of course, but at the end of the day, I think it's just about a healthy mindset. I honestly think, Scotty, I think it's going to be the Bills still. I've went over this like a bunch of times, but I know people are joining at different junctures. The Bills win guarantees we get Dolphins Chiefs, which is a great storyline, and the Bills Steelers, little Damar Hamlin connection. Whereas a Dolphins win gives us Dolphins and Bills again in a week, which I think makes absolutely no sense at all. Yeah, my sister got it a bunch of times, and again, I don't know if you got the vaccine or not, Steven. But yeah, most people I know that are getting it continuously got at least one of them, and that's like just something I noticed, and I'm like, and the heart issues. I wish I could be making it up. I would never freaking talk about people I personally know, and but it's the truth. It's no less than a dozen people that told me, yeah, like I noticed my breathing's not as good. Oh, I have a heart murmur, and they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Um, Most people my age that I know that took it, they're just getting COVID continually. But it's just weird. Yeah, I hear it lasts a while. I mostly get like the last time I was sick was a while ago. I had an upper respiratory infection. You have it now. Yeah, like and I don't think for anyone that has it that it's like a party. I just genuinely believe a good detox, a good cannabis and tea regimen, eating well, and I just can't imagine someone in good health is going to have some kind of crazy issues. Yeah, well, I hope you feel better, Stephen. Like I said, my sister gets it a lot, and I know a lot of people that are getting it now. And I think, again, I personally think whether it's the flu, pneumonia, COVID, none of them are fun. It's just a matter of making sure that if we're always healthy, like people stopped going to the gym and getting fit when COVID came around, and to me that's just so counterintuitive. Like I understand you don't want to get germs or you don't want to get any kind of possible infection, but there's a reason. Exercise is increases our life expectancy and does so many things for us. And I think the news and the people, the powers that be, just want people not working out, not striving to get better, not having healthier mentalities. So that's just my opinion. But again, I'm pretty biased just because of the amount of people that I know that have gotten it. So it's objective research. I mean, it's I'm using hard, concrete samples, including myself. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to see a bunch of people get it or not get it and then get sick, and I just haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, Trey, they did it in Atlanta in the '90s with AIDS. I'm sure you guys remember. Bill Gates is behind these. He was he's literally wanted for murder, mass murder in two continents, Africa and I guess Asia, because he's wanted in India and he's wanted in many countries in Africa. So that's the reason I'm a little apprehensive. Again, I was born, and I think I was born with autism, but I have autism, and it's one of the reasons I've way before this whole thing rolled around with COVID. I've always not been a fan of the vaccines. I got the MMR one when I was a kid, mumps, measles, Romania, whatever the hell it is, and I got the measles, and then like they noticed that my motor coordination was screwed up, and I was misdiagnosed for years, but I know for a fact it did not help. The amount of mercury and aluminum in those things is just absolutely crazy. That's the reason I'm not a fan of them. 129, 129, and 9, that's insane. So I guess what makes more sense? That's one where I really wish it was, since we got the Dolphins at home, 129, 128, and 9. But that's where sometimes I don't know what to do with gematria. It's like, well, which one makes more sense? It's the same number. But I do believe it exists. I watched a movie called Pi, very boring movie, but this guy tries to break down the theory of pi, and they use Jewish gematria. So if you're into gematria, I'm not even into gematria, and I thought it was pretty cool. The whole movie's based off gematria, and it was a pretty cool movie. Someone said my guy, Smith West. I don't know if you were just saying hey, or if there was like some kind of exclamatory thing there where you're like my guy, and you wanted to finish. But either way, I hope you're doing good, man. The game? Or I didn't watch any of the games, so maybe hopefully you're not talking about me, right? But no, I haven't watched any of the games, so I don't know what's going on. From what I can tell, it's 13 or 14-7, and the Bills are losing. I don't know what the live Vegas odds are, but oh, pie, yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not really going to be entertaining. There's no reason to have shootout scenes and such, so it does make sense. And yeah, I didn't think I watched the whole movie. I was engaged. I just yeah, there wasn't any kind of like rib in, hurting laughter, but there's not supposed to be, I guess. So that's a good point. But I thought they gave away a good bit. Yeah, I rented it one night. I was bored and I was trying to go through theories because I was picking games and stuff, and I noticed pi a bunch of times, and I have insomnia. So I'm like, let me check it out. Aiden, so I said this last time, and like two people got really mad and said, like, oh, I guess they wanted me to attack him. I said, Zach never gave me any problems. Most of the other people are, a cesspool of degenerates, as I've gone into many times. Whether it's Jake, whether it's Pat, whether it's any of these guys. And Zach never gave me any problems. Like from what I know, he might have anonymously done something, or maybe he said stuff about us. From what I can tell, it's never been brought to my attention. And yeah, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he's just a gematria goon who plays both sides," and he very well might. But again, from my experience with him, he's never said anything to me. He hasn't blatantly stole our picks. He hasn't made maniacal videos about us. He hasn't stalked our channel. He hasn't tried to weasel his way into our Discord just to steal information, whatever the case may be. So yeah, for the most part, Zach's never given me a problem. But I really don't. So I used to watch some of these guys like a while ago before I had my channel, and there wasn't much of an of array of people. You had a few breakdown guys, a few other guys, but the Gematria ones I never watched. So even the guys that I watched, and I kind of know what their antics are. I watched them before I had my channel. I have no idea like what Zach's videos entail. I don't know the Gematria behind it. I know some people, again like it seems like a very cult-like mentality because people either just tell me no, he's the devil, or oh yeah, right, he's been doing this forever. You guys should all be, kissing his feet. So it's like completely polarizing. So I'm guessing he's a polarizing individual, but he's never given me a problem. He's never made me think of him less as a person. So I'm completely like blank slate. If you sent me a Zach Hubbard video, it would be the most objective first video I'd be seeing because I've never seen him. I'd never seen anything outside of what people tell me. So yeah, I mean, from what I can say, there's I don't have any problem with Zach, but I do get why people have problems with the gematria guys because a lot of them will do that. Yeah, D. So it's like going down any kind of conspiracy truth rabbit hole. It's like yeah, I'm figuring stuff out here, but you have to find the balance. So, like, at what detriment is it to your mental health? If you're like, I need to find this out. I have theories on World War II. I have so many theories. I have theories on pi, and it bothers me when I can't solve them. But I just trust. We have a long life ahead of us, especially us. We got a nice movement going too. So being able to talk to people that are like-minded, being able to just think on things, I think with technology that's going to be coming out, I think there's a really good chance that a lot of our questions get answered. We might not get the answer to everything, unfortunately, but a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to at least know, hey, we're living in some kind of matrix. Like whatever you want to use. I know Tate you like use the word matrix now, and then anyone says matrix seems like a tater. But honestly, it is. I mean, Keanu Reeves came out and said the Matrix was a documentary. So I mean, Roddy Piper said It Lives was a documentary. Someone brought up Roddy Piper earlier. If you guys watch the movie It Lives, he swears it's a documentary. Oh, thanks, Triple Mike. Pete, I try and be. Like I said, we all have good and bad days. I just try and have a positive outlook. I've been negative at times, and I learned nothing good comes of it. You just make people around you negative, which you'll start to rationalize and you'll want to do it. So, like, you'll start being short with people that don't deserve it, and you feel a little better. And I just really try and be conscientious of that. So, yeah, like, I'm very thick skinned as well. I've basically dealt with every insult somebody could deal with. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to get me feeling negative. I do think so. They would have found this Satoshi guy if they wanted to by now. There's no way this ghost just created something that almost flipped Amazon. I do think it was created by some high up organization that probably eventually wants to get people on a social credit score for their finances. That's the reason I say either way. I think crypto is the way. Banks are buying it in bulk, but I do think Bitcoin they might pull something with. I don't know why. It also has no utility, whereas Ethereum and these other coins have so much utility. I could see them saying, "Oh, I think it's the Three Gorge Dam, which is basically was where all your Bitcoin mining comes from. Oh, that collapsed, and then something might happen with Bitcoin. Oh, Bills didn't score. Yeah, it sounds dumb. Just I don't even know the down and distance, but you would think and they'd want to make it 10-3 or whatever, 14-10. Uh, if you're at like the 1 yard line, again, I don't know why every team. Again, if these were real games, every team would just run the Philly special. If they got to like say the goal line and it was like even from the 3 yard line, you run that play 3 times, you're getting the first down. Like you literally just need to fall forward. To put in perspective, a yard is 3 feet. Josh Allen is like 6'5". So if he just literally fell forward, he's getting it. But they come out in the shotgun, they do the stupidest things, and people just don't catch it. And they think the Eagles like found this fountain of youth because they are running in a very obvious play. They're just the only team running the play that everybody should be running in that position. Now I don't know, maybe they're at the 8 yard line, but just in general, I don't understand the shotgun and all that, and I don't understand how it's not an immediate conversion. Quarterback sneak it a couple times in a row. Eight and too much time into Bitcoin. Yeah, they might not crash at the zero. I think they might eventually get flipped by another coin, but they might just keep them around as like this the gold mark, the gold standard. But as far as market cap, I try telling people like if Bitcoin were to 100x, it would like flip every company in the world collectively, or even Ripple. If Ripple were to 100x, it would have to flip Bitcoin and everything else. But you can find coins that have some utility. Like I brought up Chainlink earlier, Polygon. Polygon's kind of up there now in market cap. Some of your metaverse coins, and they could realistically 100x as we've seen meme coins like Dogecoin do. So I think getting altcoins, anything that's not in the top 10 for market cap, I think is a good pick. And then maybe hedge with Ethereum. They had 11 seconds, throw a crossing route and stop. Oh, yeah, that's weird. I mean, it, it, I'm sure it could happen. It reminds me of when the Rams lost. I think it was no, the Titans lost to the Rams. Was it when Dyson got tackled at the 1 yard line? But yeah, it seems. I'd have to see the play, but it is weird when they just happen to get stopped 1 yard short. Yeah, earlier I saw a guy. He had an easy first down, and he ducked back and ran out of bounds. And I can't remember if they converted. They probably didn't, but it just seemed really obvious. And the sacks this week were weird because quarterbacks were actually getting sacked, like Fields and Hurts, and I saw uh, Darnold sacked a couple times. Whereas normally these quarterbacks are dead to rights and they just like break 27 tackles. So a lot of weird things happen this week. Yeah, I think crypto. I always say crypto, but it could definitely be Bitcoin. I think crypto is the currency of the future. I just think there's not enough. There's so many people that I think, especially you have like the Logan Paul scams. It makes it where people just are very very apprehensive. But I think eventually, again, we went from gold standard to the dollar to credit cards. It just makes sense we would go digital next. Everything's a QR code these days, so banks are buying it. So actually, I like silver. I just bought. It was a combined gift. It was like a birthday and Christmas gift. I bought my mom like a ton of silver because she's huge on silver. She watched like a bunch of different channels where they're like get silver, and she's big into it. And I think it's a safe hedge to crypto. So I'm hoping she likes that a lot. I think she's gonna like it. But yeah, I have a decent bit invested in silver, nothing crazy, but they're using it for everything that you can use gold for. You can use silver for. It's used in computers. It's used in all the GPS equipment. So I think silver has so much, again, just fundamental utility. And with the dollar basically crashing, I think crypto and silver is definitely the way to go. Yeah, if you have solar panels, you can be paid every month if you do it right. You know, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad day at all. You get solar panels, and it kind of goes hand in hand. But yeah, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. I personally like. There's one called Mana. It's a metaverse coin. I think Ape Coin will do fine. That's the Board Ape Yacht Club's coin. The metaverse ones. Chainlink's a good one. Decentraland, yep, Decentraland. I had a parcel in there for a bit, and then I liquidated it, and I really wanted to get one back. So it's funny, virtual land, but it's actually used for people put like actual casinos on their virtual land. There's actual universities now, so it's like The Sims, but you can actually virtually go to fucking school. And even though I'm not subscribed to us, forfeiting our minds over to technology like Musk wants us to do, I can see it happening. People are already living in the metaverse and things like that, so it's going to happen anyway. So I might as well make money. Yeah, honestly, I have like I said, I had a parcel. So if I get a parcel, last time I had a pretty cool setup, but I could set something up. I kid you guys not. The Mets owner is going to be streaming games from the metaverse. So the Mets owner bought like all these parcels. So and each parcel is like a stadium seat. And when you put your VR goggles on, it's going to be like you're on the field, and the players are going to be replicated. It's pretty insane. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff we could do. We could we could do live meetups in the metaverse. It's pretty cool. Like again, it's not something that I think people should be doing all the time, but it's definitely a cool way to make things more personalized. Uh, and through the metaverse, I can confirm Paris Hilton is by far the nicest and most legitimate celebrity there is. This She has like 50,000 times more fans than any other celebrity that like I've ran into on Twitter or through Discord, things of that nature. But Paris Hilton, like I wrote one thing about how she was like amazing for crypto. I'm like she's a godsend. She made my sandbox parcel go up. She helped me with because she put it like she did a couple endorsements, and my the endorsements she did helped my profile, and they went up. So I put out a tweet saying how she was great, and she like responded to it, followed me back, and then she has a Discord, and I was in there, and there's a pet section. You just post your pictures of your pets, and in any Discord I'm in, I always post my dog Roman. He died. He was 19 years old, and he's in my own Discord. If you go to pets, you'll see Roman. And like within 30 seconds, she responded. She's like, "Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so sorry your dog died." All these different things. And someone else posts something, and then she's responding, "Oh, I hope you're doing all right." She remembers people's names. Now, I've never reached out to Paris Hilton. It's not like I'm some super fan. I just happened to, do an NFT project with her, and she happened to be in a Discord I was in, and she was so freaking nice to everybody. And then you think about how the media is like has you convinced she's a complete diva, and it's so messed up because yeah, she's so sweet, and you would never think it in a million years. Only celebrity I've had a good encounter with where they actually came off like they care about people and they don't think they're better. I believe in NFTs. I just again, it's about what you have to offer. So I compare it to Patreon, right? I could say, oh, you could sign up for the Patreon at $10 a month and you get this, that, and the other thing. Or if somebody starts an NFT project, okay, if you hold this NFT, it's a token, and now you have access to the Patreon and you're going to get this. And if this happens, the token will appreciate in value. Now you have to do things with the token, you have to give it value. But basically, services, utilities, different memberships, whatever you want to call it, exclusive tiers, things that are offered anyway now. That's what an NFT is. It's called a non fungible token, and you use that NFT for as like an access pass. So sometimes that's just getting into a certain Discord where they have alpha on crypto. Sometimes like the Bored Apes have their own restaurants now, where they're like these high end restaurants where you can't get in unless you own a Bored Ape. So some it's not the greatest. Some they just give you merchandise, but for the most part, it's a pretty solid concept. You just condense everything into this one non-fungible token. Yeah, Texans Browns, the oldest versus the youngest. That's going to be nice. And yeah, thanks, Albame. I liked the Vikings, and then when they lost, I loved the Rams. I just thought it made perfect sense. Hopefully, the Bills come through. Like I said, I like them immensely more now that the Jaguars lost, but we'll have to see what happens. Eagles Bucks Monday night. That makes sense. I wonder if Aikman's going to be calling the game. Yeah, so I think there's a for crypto. I think there's going to be a lot of things that affect the World Economic Forum. I think is going to come into play. I think there's going to be a lot of different setbacks with crypto. I just think over the long term, again, I think in like 2 years, anybody that buys Ethereum name service domains, if you know what they are, basically instead of having that long crypto address, you can buy like 2882.eth, or you could buy, I like puppies.eth or whatever you want to get. It's like the new email. So I think between Ethereum name service, metaverse land, because you can actually use that for you can make a casino, you can have a real estate agency on this fake piece of land where they have an actual simulation of the actual house they want to sell, which is what you have real estate companies doing. So when you have actual utility, you can advertise. Those are my favorite: Ethereum name service and land. After that, there's a couple I like. Some of the meme NFTs wind up flying up. Uh, Peppy is one of like the first ever memes. So there's one called Lo-Fi Peep. It's like Lo-Fi and then Pepe Pepe. And yeah, that's like only like $80 to get. I could see that one going up, but it's gonna be hard to get another Bored Apes if I'm being honest. Uh, oh, you're talking about the Lakers money line. Yeah, they're playing the Clippers. I have no idea what's gonna happen there. And Jesus Coin probably gets. I didn't hear about Jesus Coin. I mean, they had some of the. I remember they had like Crypto Dick Butt. It was called, and they wound up going insane. And yeah, this is Bubba Kush, Matt. So I just built such a sky high tolerance because to sleep, to eat, because I for a while I had Crohn's. It's basically in remission, but I always had that issue going on. Get anxiety, get all sorts of crap. Not trying to complain, but medical cannabis has saved my life. So yeah, anytime I'm hungry, anytime I'm just feeling sore, the good old this is Bubba Kush, but it's Rick Simpson oil. So it's basically they take the terpenes, which is just the properties of the plants that are effective, and they take the most medically proven terpenes, they blend them together, and it helps your neurological system. It helps your people don't know we have an endocannabinoid system in our body, meaning we produce cannabis. So there's no reason it should be illegal, in my opinion. But yeah, for me, it just helps me all around. I'm an indica guy. Sativa gets me a little jittery, and it got me off basically every one of my medications because it also helps with seizures, which I would get sometimes, occasionally. Wake up into them, which sucks, but you hit the pen within a couple minutes, it's gone. So yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. I'm an advocate of three things: autism, just because it's so misunderstood; pit bulls, because I had one, and you have no idea how like just amazing of creatures they are; and medical cannabis. And all three are like so stigmatized. So I always like to come out, and give my opinion on that. No, I haven't smoked banana peel. I think I tried. What was it? I tried Pineapple Express. There's also a banana one that I did try. I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's so many freaking strains now. But there was a banana one I did try. Uh, it was they have some. I want to say it was like a pie, like banana apple pie or something weird. But my dispensary has a pretty wide array of selections, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it depends too on their diet. I got my pit bull. He ate like he was starving. Now I got a starving pit bull. He was 14 when I got him, and people were telling, "Oh, you're nuts. He's going to be dead in a year." He was a rescue. He made it to 19 years old. So, like, if you just show dog love, I really think that they'll go as long as their body will take them. But man, that dog he ate. I don't know if you guys ever seen the little doggy ice cream cups you can buy, and they're made of styrofoam. That he would eat the damn cup. I mean, he just you have to make when you're feeding a pit bull, you got to make sure they don't swallow a bone whole. At least that was the case with him. But they're such cute dogs, and they're just so misunderstood. I like Monero, Aiden, but the only problem with that, I believe, if it's the one if it's the same one I'm thinking of, Monero is 100% decentralized, right? So that definitely opens a lot of problems up because if someone steals your money or something happens. Oh, thanks so much, Peter. I appreciate it. Roman was the best. I tell you, it's probably better. I didn't have him my whole life. I got him when he was 14 because wow, he grows on people. I knew people that were scared to death of pit bulls, and within a couple, minutes of seeing Roman, they're just like, oh, I've never seen a pit bull like this. He was just one of those dogs that I think everyone has that one dog. If you ever had a dog where everyone's like, if anything happens to you or anything, I'll take care of this dog. That's who Roman was. Yeah, it can't okay, so it's 100% decentralized. So it's good and bad because again, there's coins that claim to be decentralized, but by their very design, they're not, and they can't be. But it depends on who they use, I guess, as the oracle. I don't know if they go through Chainlink or if they go through their own network. Whoever like who's doing the scaling and whoever's making sure the transactions go through. It's on a public ledger. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So I think I understand. So yeah, I mean, I think that between the market cap and the appeal of it being completely decentralized, it's definitely not a bad investment. I just do worry if they'll ever get the mass adoption that they need, just because of the fact that there's absolutely no intermediaries in case there's something that were to go wrong. Ryan, I actually like Washington. The games I've watched them this year, they've pitched them like the little engine that could. Oh, they can do it, even though they're completely outmatched, and they've answered the bell every time. Michigan is just to me they seem like I keep the big bad wolf just kicking everyone's door down, and I think Penix he didn't win the Heisman, so that's another reason I think it would make some sense. Give him some love. So yeah, I actually like Washington to win that game. That's what I think. We'll get a Washington win. Man, these always fly by so fast. I figured be like we were like an hour in, but yeah, I can go a little bit longer. I appreciate everyone that stayed with us. If there's a particular game, you guys, if you want to just like spam it in the chat, I don't know. For next week, we can go live for any of them. To be honest, I thought I don't know before the Chiefs or honestly, we can go live before the Texans, Browns, just because I'm curious how many times they're going to talk about Flacco and CJ, and that's when we called well before it's happened. So I'm curious to see how they go about planting that narrative. Oh, Washington. Yeah, that's just what I think, Matt. I could be wrong, but I just think it makes sense, and the odds aren't anything crazy. They're not getting like plus 400. They're getting like plus 180. So I think more people will be on Michigan. Michi passed away from Canada. Oh, okay, so it could be like some kind of honor, some kind of I guess game for him. I don't see why he wouldn't play the Ravens unless like that would require something really unlikely. Like if they play in the next round, like I don't know who they would draw, but let's just say hypothetically, if the Browns win and they play Baltimore, then definitely. Uh, if the Browns win and that matches them up against I don't know the Chiefs or something, then I'm not too sure they get past them. And so if they'd have to meet up in the AFC Championship, it would be really fitting to be honest, and they could do it honestly. Like it would make sense, but Short answer, I'll say yes. I'll say I think we probably get the draw next week. I'm not sure or the week after. I'm not sure exactly what it would mean. I think the Browns are if I'm not mistaken, trying to think who won. Yeah, the Browns should be the 5 seed. So yeah, it's going to depend on how the Bills Dolphins finishes, I guess, because the Ravens are going to get more likely than not. I think the Dolphins and they would lose to the Chiefs. I'm trying to do it in my head. I think it would be Browns. I think they would draw the Browns or the Texans, the winner of that game. But I could be wrong because the Texans just won the division. So we'll have to see. But I don't see why you don't do Flacco versus the Ravens. ESPN posted it twice. Some guy tweeted it out. He's, oh, how great would that be? Or he actually said he would be scared because he was a Ravens fan. Yeah, they play Houston first, which is the oldest and youngest quarterback, which is amazing. That's why when I saw that, like about 4 days ago, I was like, oh, it's going to be them too. I'm trying to think next division round. If Cleveland and Houston, or if Cleveland and if Cleveland wins, if they would match up with Baltimore. But yeah, I think there's a good chance that could happen as far as Flacco in Baltimore, because ESPN put the post out twice, where some guy again he was just like, "Oh, how shitty would it be if, or I'm a Ravens fan and I'm scared of Joe Flacco," and ESPN put out like the laughing face and or the I'm dead face, and they're like, "Oh, how fitting would it be? That would be pretty crazy." And then they did it again like 18 hours later. So I just found that to be a little peculiar. Like they were really trying to plant those seeds for those of us that might have missed the first post. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. Seems like a lot of people does golf get revenge. I think So the Lions. I think I covered basically every game. Like not in detail. I'll go into them all, but I can't imagine, especially because the Rams just won a Super Bowl. They didn't look great. I don't think they're getting pushed too hard. I can't imagine that the Lions would not get to the next round and get to play the whoever it may be. The Cowboys Lions rematch makes perfect sense to me. I think people want to see it. The referees get blamed for they get blamed for everything, but obviously there was a ridiculous game and it was close. So yeah, I think we're gonna get a Dallas Detroit rematch. So I think Goff gets revenge for sure. And yeah, the Raptors wasn't me. It might have been you or whoever posted Raptors playing. They're getting 2 points or something, or they're -2 +2, whatever it was. If it was the same game, it just seemed like the shitty Raptors should not be getting basically a pick'em line. So some of them just looking for games that look suspect as far as lines. Yeah, like in retrospect, the Eagles. I should have liked the Giants even more than I did, even though we got them. Like a 4 point spread just made absolutely no sense. The Warriors, that's what it was. Okay, yeah, they were in. I think you said there was a 2 point Warrior spread, and I don't see anybody on Toronto. And there are some games where they'll just pay out the public, but I think more so than not, they're gonna get people with the traps just because it doesn't make sense. And I try and go through both ends of it. So like with the Texans pick, so many people were telling me all the money's gonna be on the Texans, and oh, the Hawks did terrible today. Yeah, I said I didn't make it an official pick. I was like, the Hawks are pretty unpredictable. They should win this game because it looks like a trap, but they do not help. They always do bad when I need them to do good. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay away from it. But yeah, I thought they might have won, but they've been getting romped all year. In my NBA again, my rankings video, I don't even have them making the play in. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they ship Trey Young at this point. They're not. They have the talent. There's just something going on there, obviously. And yeah, I'm guessing is the Bills back yet? I haven't checked the score one time. I'm probably in a minute, like I said, gonna wrap it up anyway, unless anybody had any theories that they want or anything that went unaddressed. But I figure I try not to ramble on you guys for too long. But yeah, I figure next week sometime. I think since it's the kickoff game and it's a very entertaining one, Houston, Cleveland. If you guys are cool with that, we can go live for that game. Okay, so Miami's got the ball. Third quarter. Yeah, pretty low scoring game. Looks like the under's going to hit it. I could be wrong, but Oh, they lost in overtime. Okay, yeah, I think it was like a 2 point spread though, so they probably didn't cover either. I think they were playing the Magic. I thought, okay, more people should be on the Magic. Pablo Banchero has been looking amazing. Maybe they were playing someone else. I didn't look at the updated one, but I imagine it's I'm outside of the AFC Bills right now. I imagine it's the same as my video. It should be at least because it should definitely be Rams, Lions. It should definitely be Packers, Eagles, or was it Packers, Cowboys? I can't remember. And I think Bucks, Eagles. I think that's the three that it should be. Now on the AFC side, I know Cleveland, Houston is locked. And the Chiefs, Dolphins, of course, that's not locked yet, but I think that's what we're going to get in Bills, Steelers. But I think no matter what the Steelers are in, I could be wrong. But yeah, I think they already. I think they clinched on both sides. My upside for the wild card, believe it or not, it would be it'd be the, gosh, it's hard honestly. I don't know if we're going to get one. I said I thought we'd get a major one, but the more I think about it, I think we have to get Dallas, Detroit again, and I really think we're going to get Philly and the the Niners again. So on the AFC side, I the Steelers aren't advancing, so I don't see that happening. I guess my upset, if anything, it would be if you could even call it an upset. If Miami played Kansas City, I could see them winning. Uh, Houston, Cleveland. I prefer Cleveland. I'm not sure who's going to be the favorite in that game. Probably Cleveland, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so like I would say Bucks could be a good upset, but I think they're going to push like Hurts fighting through this quote injury. And again, I do think we're going to get Niners and Eagles again. I just have a feeling. I don't know why I've been feeling like when people were saying Dallas Niners, which a lot of people still like, I just kept thinking, I don't know. I think Eagles makes much more sense. So I don't know. Like I said, it might not go exactly like I think, but I feel like we're going to get the Niners playing the Eagles, but this time they have a healthy Brock Purdy. Looks like the Dolphins, some slow movement. I was just checking ESPN. Looks like it's still 14-7. Eagles get, yeah. So I forget the Ravens. I'm trying to think. Was that the other? Was that the? That wasn't the Blackout Bowl, right? Or it might have been. But the Eagles kind of remind me of. I don't know why. They remind me of like the Celtics of the NBA or the Celtics of the NFL, where they just like kind of cruise through, have a good record, and I feel like a lot of people are assuming they're going to get back there, but the Celtics keep getting to the Eastern Conference, and I do think that the Eagles will very likely get to the NFC Championship just because I have Niners Eagles, of course, but you never know. Oh, it'd be round two. Okay, then I probably have them getting booted in the second round. Whenever they would play San Francisco, I think the Niners are going to win that game. But of course, okay, and then the Packers Cowboys 4:30 on Sunday. Is that the Peacock game or no? That one seems like I guess of all the games the most boring, but I mean it could be fun. I mean the way Love is looking, it could definitely be a very fun game. But yeah, I guess like I said, there's no exact cutoff time. I just figure you guys are games getting down to the nitty gritty, so I figure most people are going to be watching that anyway. I appreciate you guys sticking with me as long as you did. It's always nice we can have a nice long live session. Chiefs games on Peacock. That's interesting. That should be a fun game, but they don't know who they're playing yet, right? I think it could be the Texans or the Dolphins, based depending on what people do this week. But yeah, just I guess let me know if you think Browns Texans is a good game to go live. I'll post with ample time, like today. Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks, D. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that joined. Like I said, if people weren't here and you guys weren't engaging and just giving different theories, insights, being positive, obviously there's no reason to do it. It wouldn't be very fun. So again, I think we built an awesome community, and I always appreciate you know anyone's insight, even if it's completely separate from mine. A lot of times, someone's like, "Nope, you're dead wrong," and this is why. And I appreciate it because I just like people that, or if everyone's kind of using different means of logic to come to a pretty similar result, even if it's not always the same, then I feel like we're on basically on the same page for the most part. Saturday, and that's the first game, right? Okay. So yeah, oh yeah, because they do the 4:30 and the 8. So yeah, I think that would be cool if you guys are good with that. We our next live could do we can do Browns versus the Texans. I think that'll be a fun game. And yeah, we could do another game too. But I figure at least once a week I'll try and do them. Like I said, the only reason I had to stop was because my computer was like glitching out, as you can see by again the millions of micropixels and graininess on the screen. I just have very archaic equipment. I was able to get a working headset, which is cool. In my last stream, like I said, we were talking about aliens when we got shut down, but it happened to be because my aux cord was like all screwed up. So got a new headset, was able to figure out the a webcam that actually worked. So there shouldn't be any glitches in the future. I'm glad tonight's went good. For the most part, it seems like everybody could hear pretty good, and the chat seems to be updating quickly. Hopefully, I'm not behind. I always try and be on top of that. They did, man. I'm not kidding. I was talking about the Bulls logo looking like an alien mounting a crab, or it looks like an alien reading a Bible. How it could look like both of those things, I don't know, but it does. And sure enough, like when people were elaborating on it, we just got shut. Like I couldn't, like people couldn't hear me anymore. They're like, you went away. We can't hear anything." So at first, I thought they were like joking, and then I realized my equipment had just kind of spazzed out. 1v1 BO2 hijacked. What's hijacked? Trying to think what that means. I'm like terrible with. I'm usually pretty good with decoding too. I'm just trying to figure out that one means. Oh, the Bills got the ball back. I wonder if the Bills tie the game up here. Oh, Call of Duty. I'm so out of touch of video games. I'll tell you the extent before I wrap it up of my video game knowledge. I played Final Fantasy VII when I was a kid, and I still think that's like the best game ever. Of course, I didn't play a ton other besides that. I played the Maddens and stuff. And there's this game. I don't even like anime, but it's this game that's based off an anime. It's called Ace Attorney. Phoenix Wright. That's a fun game. But I don't play much video games. But both of those are my like the two games I'll play if I'm just bored, or I'll bust out the old Sega Genesis and go to town. So yeah, if they rematch each other, that'll be interesting. I feel like the story would be, oh man, they got to beat the Bills 2 weeks in a row or some kind of nonsense like that. And I would actually like Miami if it was a rematch. I feel like it would make sense. Of course, I'd have to see the line, what the talking heads are saying. So that's just my initial knee jerk reaction. So yeah, if we definitely got Bills Miami again, I think Miami. I don't know. You're talking about tonight, or if they have the rematch. I mean, if they have the rematch, like we could get Bills Kansas City, of course, with the Bills win. But I think it'd be interesting. Like, I think at the least they're going to tease. Oh man, nobody like. I don't know the last time they can say that a team's beat the Bills 2 weeks in a row. I know the Bengals had the game called short with the Bills where they were winning, and then I think they did beat them in the playoffs. But yeah, it would be an interesting a story if Tua can beat the Bills twice in a row. But we'll have to see. Like I said, this game kind of giving me Rams vibes. They're keeping the Bills in it just enough. It feels like maybe for them to win at the end. Might get a couple more scores from each team. Yeah, they're Manning and Brady. I mean, there's no, they're not even hiding it. They even said like, are these two the best since Manning and Brady in a recent article, despite always saying Josh Allen's overrated. Like they can't decide which lane they're going to pick. So like 1 minute they're saying he's not top five, and the next minute it's Manning and Brady. I'm glad, man. I'm always happy when I see you, Shane. I know you've been from the very beginning supporting, and I always appreciate it. And yeah, man, I gotta do better with the cigarettes myself. It's like I'll chain smoke cigarettes and then preach about good health, but it is like the one vice I have, and it's weird because I'll go days with not smoking. I'm sure people don't believe that, but then when I do, I don't know what it is. Like I'm that guy who sometimes I'll light a cigarette with a cigarette. It's just so stupid. It's a dumb habit. But yeah, I definitely need to cut that out. But honestly, I feel like as long as you're doing healthy things in life and not just sitting around, always eating bad, all that stuff, then at least in my experience, I've been pretty good. I'm kind of dumb. Like I'll smoke too many and then start noticing like, oh man, I got some irritation. So then I'll cool it. and it'll go away, and I'll be perfect again. But then I'll go right back to smoking. But I at least try to be conscientious enough where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like shit because I'm smoking too much. But yeah, nothing wrong with smoking. It's just like I said, I definitely want to quit, but obviously it's a rough addiction. I would say, as far as I don't get any kind of like jitters or stuff if I don't smoke. I just notice certain things. You're doing certain things. I'm playing chess. If I'm doing a live thing, I'll just habitually grab like cigarettes and not even realize it. So it's more of a stupid habit for me. Oh, cool. Patriots did get the third pick with that loss to the Jets. It would have been interesting if they won because a bunch of teams with similar strength of schedules would have been lined up. Uh, yeah, the Bears could trade their pick because yeah, it's the Panthers pick, but the Bears have it. I could see the Commanders. Now, Caleb's dad came out and was like, I don't want my son going to a crappy team. So, like, he's like, or he's going to basically get the Kyler Murray treatment, the RG3 treatment. So, I think there's a good chance that they do trade that pick or Caleb stays actually for one more year. Now, I could be wrong. I think it makes the most sense. I know they're saying that the Patriots are going to get May. I don't know. I think they're going to hype up the Bears fans for this year, honestly. So, Fields looks pretty good already. They're looking better than they were. They had a strong finish to the season. What were they, 7-10? I think not too bad. And I think you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and another big name. What if they got him and Devonta Adams? Just imagine that. They're going to get the Lions treatment coming into this year, where it's like, man, the Bears are stacked. This is going to be amazing. So I could see the Bears getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Then again, I could see Bill Belichick getting him too. The Commanders got the two. I'm guessing they would get May because I don't see the Bears. Well, I don't know how it would work. There's no way Caleb doesn't go first, but I don't see the Bears taking him. They might trade him, I guess. Yeah, so D, there's like so many things. There's like PTSD and autism are like the two that I think are the most underdiagnosed. But I was like 22, 23. It wasn't that long ago, it was, like 7 or so years ago. And it was the same deal. I'm like, okay, I just am different, like on all these different levels. So I talked to my psychologist and psychiatrist actually, and basically he's like, you can't have autism. You would have verbal hiccups and things of that nature. Like, and that's another stigma. If you have autism, you have horrible verbal tendencies. And sure, I have rambling tendencies, things like that. But since I could speak coherently and I had a decently well versed vocabulary, it was always just you know brushed to the side, and I was just diagnosed with ADHD. So when I asked him, "Can I please just see an autistic specialist?" I took it's called an AQ test. Or you take an EQ test, and that's when I was diagnosed. They said, "Yeah, you got like a 44. Anything that's 36 or higher qualifies you." And it's some stuff people look at and they're like, "Oh, I self-identify because I have these things," and I think a lot of people. I think it's a very broad spectrum. Like it's things as simple as not liking change, and then something like the tag on your T-shirt makes you want to punch a hole through a wall, or it can cause a seizure. Like there's such a broad spectrum, but autism and PTSD, very late diagnoses, but again, knowing kind of why my brain ticks the way it does made it a lot easier for me to just function in life and realize, all right, like I live in Florida, so like the humidity is like 140%, and it'll be the sun just glaring on you, and that would make me frustrated, and I didn't even realize it until I started. Okay, I have autism. The freaking sense is actually pissing me off, and I didn't realize that was putting me in a bad mood. So it sounds goofy, but it really is about being like present and just always reflecting on why you're acting a certain way. If you're mentally present, then I feel like no matter what you have, it'll help. Oh, definitely, D. Yeah, like I understood why I like animals more than people. I understood why people on the far right call me a liberal and people on the far left call me a Nazi. My brain just interprets information differently. So it's the reason I said I can't stand hypocrisy. A lot of people with autism have that commonality where they just don't understand you hear about people that autistic people that can't even get sarcasm. I understand sarcasm, but hypocrisy is one for me. So many social norms that I just can't accept, and it made it a lot easier. I'm like, okay, well, that this is why I have a monotone way of speaking. A lot of things of that nature. You know, poor depth perception. I got a lazy eye, all that stuff, and it's all crossed. I got the autism uh, again at birth or after birth, and it's all kind of connected, so it's easy to see. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of going to doctors. I feel like if you just get enough from the doctors, just in like a little bit of an idea of what's going on, most of it can be self-corrected. I though I'm not saying it doesn't help, but I think for the most part, uh, you know, nobody understands their own mind than themselves. So you might speak to someone who's dealt with a million people with what you deal with, but you deal with it differently. So I don't personally go to doctors. I when I need to go to a specialist, I'll go to that specialist just to fix absolute necessities. But for the most part, I don't do checkups. I mean, if I feel sick again enough that I feel like a doctor will make a difference, and my tea isn't working and all that stuff's not working, I'll go to the doctor. But it doesn't hurt to go to one and just see if you might have, you might have be on the spectrum for autism. You might have severe ADHD. A lot of it's comorbid, so you'll have a bunch of them. So, for example, I have autism, which makes it where I have insomnia, ADHD, all these different what I call symptoms, but they're just comorbid issues. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people can get lost in the shuffle, and it's like, okay, well, this person isn't melting down in a corner. They don't have autism. They must just be bipolar or something like that, and that happens all the time. It's unfortunate. So, Alan, did was it in the red zone again? Because I know that what was their turnover on downs, or I guess turnover on time was in the red zone. Let me see where they were at. Oh, it was okay. Yeah, that's it. Always seems very convenient. I noticed more often than almost anybody, Josh Allen take sacks out of field goal range, or take sacks that make them like he'll fumble the ball, or again just make it where a field goal turns to a punt, or what would probably be a touchdown drive turns to a field goal. The only guy who does it more than him was Rodgers. Last year, Rodgers did it like 5,000 times. Of course, he didn't play this year, but Allen always seems to sell by taking the red zone sacks. Yeah, I do too, Chris. To me, that makes perfect sense. I feel like there's not. I don't know. I just think it's been hinted at all year, and I think all the seeds have been planted, especially for the Niners. They've been banging on the door, and I think they're going to give Lamar a lot of love. Yeah, Allen. Steven brings that up too, Obama. That Josh Allen just the worst actor. He's always screaming, slamming his helmet and stuff, and it's pretty ridiculous. I get some players are going to be animated, but over every little thing, this guy is out there looking like Charlie Chaplin with the hand gestures and whatnot. So I think it's all. I think all at least the top stars just in on the circus. But yeah, we're at 3 hours. All right. So like I said, I don't want to keep rambling, but I like to make sure that I answer everybody's questions. If anybody has any closing remarks, I'm always there to answer. And yeah, Shane, when you're kind of cooped up, I definitely I have to definitely get the same as you. It's like things happen, you just start smoking, and I think I smoked like 6 cigarettes during this stream, so I'm definitely not perfect, but trying to hold myself to a higher standard as far as just getting off the cigarettes. Yeah, the Suns. I don't think they're doing anything. Just my opinion. I think it's going to be the Mavs, if not the Lakers. I don't know why. If it's Celtics, I think they give us Celtics Lakers. It was teased a lot last year. That's why I kind of like the Lakers, and I think Mavs makes a lot of sense too. Uh, they're doing really well, kind of like Nuggets from last year, but I don't think they're getting the love that people expect. Oh, cool. Hopefully the Grizzlies come through. They were like plus 400. I did mention they would be a good pick to take to make the play in. You have to be careful because if your book specifies playoffs, well, they would just have to win the play in game and they're in. I think taking them to make the playoffs is a good pick. I think it's only going to get shorter and shorter. But yeah, that'll be my closing remark. I think the Grizzlies to make the playoffs. I think it's way more interesting. I think some of the teams in the West are going to fizzle out. Again, like I said, most of our Western picks are in there. Uh, I think all but one. I'll have to check my original video to make sure of that, but I think all but one we got in there. My original video, I had the Spurs making it. and obviously they're not going to make it. So that's a dud. And then for the play-in, I think the Warriors are like one game out. Chet, he reminds me of a skinny Andre the Giant, but I don't know. To put in perspective, I am called skinny by most people. If someone's being extra nice, they'll call me lean, and I weigh more than Chet Holmgren. There's just no possible way this guy wouldn't break his body trying to box out Rudy Gobert or Steven Adams or anybody. Mitch Robinson. I don't understand how this guy is. He's a Big Mac heavier than Steph Curry, to put in perspective. And to put in better perspective, Steph Curry and Devin Booker outweigh Chet Holmgren and Wemby, which is just insanity. Like to be that tall and that skinny is just insane. And I'm not a very tall guy. I'm like average height. I'm like 6'1", like stretching it, maybe exactly 6 foot. So for me to be outweighing this dude, and it's again, I get called skinny by people. So when I saw that, I'm like, how does this guy weigh 180 or whatever the hell he weighs, 185? Or you see Steph Curry's like 185 or 180. He's only like 5 pounds lighter, and like I just don't understand it. So I don't know. I get he's like a different breed. I think in a couple of years he's going to fade into obscurity. Wemby, on the other hand, despite being ridiculously skinny, they're going to make sure he's a draw for France. I think with the international appeal, I think Wemby's going to overtake Chet for sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess if he can get away with it, they'll let him be fine. I don't know. I feel like unless they're really trying to transition the game, which might be the case, I don't understand. Like this guy, if you just imagine him playing at the park, he would just get pushed down. Yeah, he plays well. He can stretch the court. I just don't understand how this guy isn't bullied through every single game. I'd have to watch a little more footage, but it just seems ridiculous to me. But yeah, he just to me looks like a goofy lumberjack. And again, I'm not trying to insult the guy. I just don't understand like how he's not being completely posterized by everybody. Like I get that he's lanky, but again, you have to understand when someone's that much stronger than you, and there's no way this guy's that strong. Like they can just run you over. I don't understand how he's not like being exposed. But again, they're switching to a smaller league, so it definitely makes sense that he can believably be an all star type player. But yeah, hopefully the Bills turns around. Hopefully I didn't jinx them. We had an amazing game and then got on here, and then it seems like the Bills are laying in an egg. But I think we'll wind up getting that one. Yeah, he's really tall. I get that. Good job on the Grizzlies. It's just when you're that tall and skinny, I don't know. I feel like Yao Ming had a hard time, unless he was playing for China. Then he played like his life depended on it. But when you don't have any meat to you, I feel like now again it's a scripted league, so we can give Chet a lot more uh, leeway. But in a league that they're trying to push even as remotely real, I can't see this guy dominating games like they're gonna have Wemby dominating. And yeah, Wemby actually like I feel like a lot of these guys are built taller than they are, like they do wrestlers. But Wemby does seem like he actually is that tall. And the fact that they're all like, "Oh my gosh, he's so tall," does make you wonder about these other guys that they're saying are 7'2". It's like, well, why haven't you been fawning over them forever? So they have stretched the heights. I just like wrestling, but I do think Wemby probably is every bit of that 7'4" or whatever they say he is, just because they treat him differently than these other tall guys. And they're all tall, don't get me wrong. But the funniest one's The Rock. Just to wrap this up, this dude still claims he's 6'5" when you can see him face to face with Cena, who's 6'1", and he's like the same height. If you see him with any athlete, like if he's standing next to LeBron James, he dwarfs The Rock. The Rock isn't even as tall as Roman Reigns, who says he's 6'3", and The Rock still swears he's 6'5". The fragile ego that guy has is just absolutely astounding. He still swears he's a natty, natural as they call him. He said he freaking eats an In-N-Out burger, and then they found it like he's like it's my first time eating an In-N-Out burger, and then they found an old video of like 3 years ago of him saying this is my first time eating an In-N-Out burger, and he's done it 3 times. Like the guy is just an insane compulsive liar, and every other wrestler is like, yeah, we're not really that tall. The Rock is still head. I'm 6'5". He's so 10 toes down. on being a 6'5" natural, never took steroids, monster who eats In-N-Out Burger for the first time every couple of years. It's pretty ridiculous the stuff this guy lies about. So I talked about at the beginning of the stream when asked the greatest wrestler. It has nothing to do with their character. I think Austin's greater for different reasons, but I also just learned The Rock's a big phony. So, and I see a lot of people that liked The Rock that are noticing the same thing. They watched him on Rogan and they're like, "Yeah, this guy's a complete malarkey machine. He just makes up things as he goes on." Yeah, that could be good, Steven. Maybe it's going to keep it alive for Buffalo to give us a tie. Tie it up for us. I think Buffalo gets away with the win. Again, we called the playoffs too perfectly to miss the last game, so I'm hoping we finally we get that and have a perfect finish to the night. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's going to be good. Outside of some kind of like nonsensical illegal contact on the defense, we will be good there. But yeah, thanks to everybody that came through. I appreciate you all. And yeah, we're on the different side of the aisle there. But again, I'm not great with college football, so you definitely might have me. I just think the Penix story is nice. The underdog Huskies seem to be a nice pick, but not one I love. If I had to pick, I would go Washington. But yeah, again, thanks to everybody. I guess we'll do Browns and Texans. And yeah, I appreciate everybody that, if you came in, I was talking about. Obviously, we had a lot of different discussions in here, but I appreciate everybody that, I always try to make these open topics so we can talk about whatever. And to me, nothing's off limits. I mean, unless you want me to say something stupid, but as far as your opinion or if you want my opinion on stuff, obviously we can always talk about sports, but I always like when people want to know about crypto or want to know about different things going on in society. It's always good to just see what's going on. Oh, no problem. I appreciate it, Pete. Mike, I always appreciate the support and I appreciate you guys for staying with me. Sometimes I'm answering questions and I go off on a few tangents and I look up and I'm like, damn, it's been like 2 hours. But again, it's as Vegas dude said, it's a chill sesh. So there's really no time on it. I just kind of do it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little old, so I could start feeling my back like aching, and I'm like, oh, another 30 minutes, and I don't think I'm gonna sleep too good tonight. So one of those signs we're getting old. Us 90 kids, starting to feel the old person struggles. So yeah, like I can start feeling that happen, and so that's usually when I'll start calling it quits when my back's kind of telling me, yeah, you might want to just get a little stretching in and call it a night. But yeah, thank you all. I appreciate it. Like I said, especially some of my rants. I like to go and elaborate on something. So at the beginning, when I was asked about freaking, I don't like to bring up drama and shit. And I know it's like the number one sign of someone who brings up drama. I don't like to bring up drama, and then they proceed to bring it up. But with this, Jake Clown, I know you guys were asking me about. I don't usually bring these people up, but I rarely do lives. We haven't done one in a while, and these people are such phonies that I just, I don't. Again, when I'm typing in my name and they're coming up, and then they're constantly dropping videos on us, just always trying to ambush us. I just figured I'd bring it up because, oh, nice, yeah, I think the Bills are going to get this done. It looks like they're going to get it done for us. But yeah, the other channels, like I try to speak at a minimum about them, and not just randomly talk nonsense about people. But the crap that they've tried to put us through, and then just the amount of energy they've spent on us, it does bear repeating. Just the psychopathic behavior. Now, if you watch them, that's fine. I get it. I'm not one of those people who cares. But I just wanted to bring that up at some point because a few people were asking me my opinion, and I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, they're great individuals or whatever. They're just very very unhinged. So I would be very careful when seeing what they have to say. But yeah, I do encourage you to watch them, the ones I mentioned, to see if I'm exaggerating. But as far as the game, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Bills with Miami cover and over. Yeah, it's yeah. There probably won't be a tie unless it's the last game of the season. So I seriously doubt we get that. But you never know. Anything crazy could happen. But yeah, I think Bills are going to do it. Hopefully, we don't get clipped on the cover. I think it closed at 3, but maybe it closed at 3.5. I'm not sure. Either way, I think the Bills get the win. They looking like it might be a 3-point game though, so it might depend on what you got there as far as the cover. But yeah, as I always say, I thank you everyone to putting up with me rambling. Like I said, I try and answer questions as concisely as possible, and then also that'll sometimes trigger an associative thought, and I'll go into a tangent. But I always try and make sure we cover the necessities. And yeah, I'm thinking Browns Texans, so probably Saturday at 4:30, and I'll give you guys ample time. So yeah, take care, guys, and happy earnings.